Welcome aboard, everybody. Good afternoon. What's happening? A Thursday edition of the Sports Bash live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live videos streaming on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning is producing today's show. You out there, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's get right into it. Phil's win last night, right? But for the first time this year, a little bit of discussion about a potential injury that we'll dive into. Now, I don't think anybody's going to sit here and say, if they lose Adolis Garcia, they're in trouble. But it's more than just that. Garcia last night had to be taken out of the game. He might have pulled a muscle in his shoulder or throwing arm or something when he made that throw to the plate last night. I feel like this is an interesting crossroads at this moment. We really haven't had an injury yet for the Phillies. JT Realmuto missed a little bit of time, but you knew that the options behind JT Realmuto were just placeholders. When Realmuto came back, he would be back. This one is interesting because if Adolis Garcia missed his time, there's the possibility that somebody else plays there and then performs. Let's talk about that. Let's just say, okay? Let's just say for fun right now. Let's say Felix Reyes is the guy that gets the call, right? If Felix Reyes is the guy that ends up getting the call by the Phillies, and he comes up here and they just say, Felix, you're going to play right field every single day while Garcia's out. Now he gets to play every single day. It's not, hey, I'm playing once a week. I'm playing here and there. I'm playing every single day. And he goes and he plays well. Felix Garcia, Reyes, by the way, since he's been sent back down to the minors, by the way, he's hitting 303 with 14 homers, 37 RBI. He has been scorching hot down there. Now, does anybody think that Felix Reyes is potentially the answer? Maybe not. But what if he comes up and plays every day and starts to hit? The Phillies then would have a decision to make. What do I do with this guy? Do I just keep letting him play out there and hit? Do I just keep putting him in the lineup even when Adolis Garcia comes back, and then Garcia becomes a glorified right-handed bat off the bench and a defensive replacement late in the game? That's one possibility. So I think what's going to happen and listen, it is just after 2. I have not heard anything. The Phillies do not play today. So there's a possibility that we don't hear anything on Garcia today. There's no lineup today. He will not be in the lineup today because they do not play today. So the one thing would be tomorrow. Do the Phillies say it's day to day or that he's going to go on the injured list? Your other option would be Otto Kemp. Now, Otto Kemp is obviously a guy who's been up here before, right? Otto Kemp's been up here before. I do want to, real quick, on Felix Reyes. Of the options, he has been the best of the 3 options I'm going to give you down at AAA. He's been the one that stands out over all these guys if you're just going off of AAA numbers. So that would be probably, if you're just saying, who's the first option? I would think right now Felix Reyes is probably the first option. But Otto Kemp is a guy that they liked. Otto Kemp is a guy they told us a lot about. The problem with Otto Kemp has kind of been he hasn't been able to get the opportunity to play every single day. So now, do they look at Otto Kemp and say, go play left field every single day versus lefties versus righties for the next couple of weeks? Now, that means if Garcia gets placed on the injured list. We do not know that right now. This is all speculation. But that would be the possibility, would be that, hey, Otto Kemp, come on up. Now you're going to get the opportunity to play every day for 2 weeks, 10 days or so. We don't know how long Garcia would be out for. But that might be a way that Otto Kemp can at least show that he belongs or show that, hey, if I play every single day, I can hit at this level. He's gone down to AAA, and he's been okay. I mean, he hasn't been fantastic. By the way, for Felix Reyes, since he went down to AAA, 8 home runs, 22 RBI, 274. I mean, he's hitting with power. That could be a jolt to this lineup. I don't think it would be translating to the major league level, but he's been probably the best hitter out there for the Phillies. Otto Kemp, on the other hand, he went down to the minors, and it hasn't been, wow, look at Otto Kemp playing every single day down there. So if you're making the argument that Kemp could go down and play every single day, and that might be a way to jumpstart him, so far it hasn't translated to the minors. Kemp hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been bad. 214 is not great. He's dropped a bit as well. So I don't know that Kemp is really, and he's not a great defensive player. So you got that too. And then you have Gabriel Rincones, who we've talked about yesterday. Gabriel Rincones is a 25-year-old left-handed hitter, by the way, who is at AA Reading. He's the third best prospect in your organization. I don't know at what age you start to lose prospect, but he's 25 years old playing at AA. It's not where a prospect should be. At 25 years old, you should probably be firmly in the majors or at least knocking on the door, and Gabriel Rincones is not there. Him hitting left-handed, I think, probably dooms him in this situation. So I don't see Rincones being the option. My thought would be that it will be Reyes, and he would get the shot to play every single day. He's a right-handed guy, plays right field, has some power, has been up here before. Remember, they hit him in the 4-hole one day because they had no other option. So they just said, hey, I got an idea. Stick this guy to 4-hole, which was one of the dumbest ideas that they've had so far this year. But I do think that this conversation is going to hold some water because Don Mattingly said this last night after the game was over.
What's your level of concern about Garcia?
I'd say a little bit. Obviously, I didn't, anytime the guy, they kind of know when they've done something. So we'll see what happens. They'll probably get some imaging tomorrow. We'll find out where, the true severity of it. I hope for the best, and we'll see what happens.
Given what he's done for you guys defensively, how much of a blow would it be if he has to miss some time here?
Well, obviously, you lose a defender like that, it changes things a little bit. But, everybody deals with, stuff all the time, so we'll have to, somebody's going to have to pick it up.
Yeah. He mentioned when you lose a defender, he didn't say anything about a bat. He didn't say, when you lose a bat like that, he said, when you lose a defender like that. He has been a complete disappointment as a hitter, but he has been a difference maker as an defensive player, excuse me. He's hitting 195, 7 home runs, 21 RBI. His on-base percentage is awful, 270. This might be a blessing in disguise if the Phillies are looking to do something. You don't wish injury on anybody, of course. And I hate to see Garcia get hurt. He was starting to turn it around a little bit. He had just all of a sudden, started to kind of come around a little bit offensively. You take a look at what he's done, in the last couple of weeks here for the Phillies. He has shown a little bit more power. In the last, 7 days, he does have 3 home runs. Look, he's not going to hit for average. He's hitting 222. I mean, you got to hope, though, that he is able to drive the ball and hit with some power, especially if he's hitting at the bottom of the order. That being said, his offense has been minimal for this team. So if they have the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? We could put somebody out in right field. Maybe that guy gives us a little bit more offense. That's a big difference maker possibly. Now, it also could push the necessity to say, we don't know what to think of Garcia. Reyes is not the guy we really think. Kemp is not the guy we really think. We're not really ready to bring up Rincones because he hits left-handed. Now we got to go out and get somebody. I don't think they will go out and get somebody yet. It's a little early in the trade season for that. I think what they'll do first is take the opportunity to put Reyes out there, see if he can hit. And if that doesn't work, Garcia comes back. They give him the opportunity up into the trade deadline, and then they make their decision. That's how I think this thing kind of plays out. We'll see. As you heard what Don Mattingly said, they'll get the imaging probably sometime today, and likely why we're on the air here. We'll have Phillies fastball tonight at 5:30, so we can get more on that. I know Jeff Kerr is scheduled to go to Reading tonight to watch Gage Wood pitch. So we'll hear what Jeff is hearing, if there's any of the Reading players that are hearing anything. I guess Gabriel Rincones would be the one. The second guy would be Felix Reyes. He is at AAA. And the third guy would be Otto Kemp. He is also at AAA. So there are your options. Now, as for the game last night, this is a game where Phillies offense showed up. And when the Phillies offense shows up like they did last night, you had a home run from Bohm, a 3-run homer. I think it was a 3-run homer. That's a big deal, right? When Bohm, he's got 8 home runs, by the way. And I really thought, the Schwarber home run, that was a big, because obviously the team, they get the 1 run early in the game, and then you get 5 runs in the third and the fourth, between the third and the fourth. You're up 5-0. I think they actually were up 6-0 at one point. The 6th run, the 7th run was the home run from short. So they're up 6-0, and then it's 4 runs in a 2-inning span for Toronto, and then boom, the response after they score 1, you score 1, because they end up getting 3 back. So that home run that Schwarber hits is a big one there. But Harper, big day for him with 3 runs scored. I like the way he was swinging the bat. Bohm with the 3-run home run. Bohm's numbers. I got some numbers for you on Bohm, which it's pretty unbelievable because I don't think we're really looking at Bohm as like, man, this guy's really turned it around. But Alec Bohm, since the first, I guess April, they play, or the first month of the season, right? Yeah, April. They start April and May for Bohm. Let me pull the numbers up for you. March. They start the season in March. They play a handful of games in March. So from March and April for Alec Bohm, he had 106 at-bats between March and April with 1 home run, 13 RBI. He hit 151 with a 218 on-base percentage. Horrible. In the months of May and now June, he has 129 at-bats. So that's about the same sample size. 7 homers, 21 RBI, 287, 338 on-base percentage. Way different. If he hits 287 with listen, he's not going to hit 30 home runs by any stretch of the imagination, but 7 home runs in the month of May and now in 11 days in June, not bad. I think quietly, even though Bohm, we knew he's kind of turned around a little bit, quietly he's been pretty solid for this team all of a sudden. So Bohm is kind of back to being Bohm, that it's frustrating and good and frustrating and good all at the same time. He's a good hitter. He's just so frustrating because you want more. And then his numbers look horrible because of the first month of the season where he was terrible. Stott had a couple hits last night. And that was really it. You had the big story, I thought, was Luzardo, 5 2/3, 4 hits, just the 1 run. He did have the 4 walks, which I don't like. And this is why I would look to beef up the pitching and put Luzardo in my number 4 slot if I could. Because if I get a night where I give up 4 walks in a playoff game, I can't have that. 8 strikeouts, though, for Luzardo. Chase Sugar was the guy that came in, and he had been pitching really well this year, and he did not pitch well last night. He had 3 walks, and that was the first time, really, that he was in like a higher leverage situation, and he did not look ready for it. But the rest of the guys, including Jose Alvarado, who I thought looked really sharp. Brad Keller came in, got actually threw 3 strikes. I think that was one of the quickest, sharpest. He had 2 quick outs. He threw 3 pitches. He got 2 outs. But the sad part is, unfortunately, you had to use Duran, and that's becoming a question now. The way Don Mattingly has decided to use his bullpen here. And listen, I have no problem with using the pitcher 3 days in a row if his workload suggests you could. I think Duran has pitched 2 days in a row, and in the 2 days, I don't even know that he threw 20 pitches in the 2 days. Third straight day that he was back out there. So if Duran says, hey, I'm good, I feel good, I've only thrown, I don't know how many pitches he threw in the 2 days combined, but last night he only threw 10 pitches. I mean, even if he threw, I don't think he threw more than 30 pitches in the 2 days that he threw back to back. So if he says, hey, I'm ready to go, then go for it. And you needed him last night. Look, you got to stockpile every win you can get. Let's be honest here. You can't afford to not pick up a win when you have it. 3-run lead in the ninth. You got to turn the ball over to Duran if he's ready. You can't say, hey, we need Kirkering you to try to get that out for us. So if Kirkering says he's available, you go with him.
So in the first game of the series, he had 9 pitches. Then yesterday he had 8 pitches. Last night he had 10.
Okay, so
total
27. 27 total pitches.
He didn't even get the third.
No, I think he'll be fine. And you're off today. So you know you're off today, and he threw 30 pitches. So I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people are talking about the workload of some of these guys in this bullpen.
Which I hate the people who are saying that, because I question if they're real baseball people, because, you know, Mattingly brought up a great point after the game last night. Talk about it. I know they talked about it on the Phillies post-game show, which is he said that Duran lets them know after every game and then the next day before every game how he's feeling. And Metallico made the comment basically where he said, look, as a pitcher, if I'm telling you that, you know, it was not a high stress inning and I'm good to go, it's on the manager to basically take that information and run with it.
Yeah, and I think that that's been one of the things that Duran has now, because, you know, they talk about it during the broadcast a lot. Duran has said he likes to get a lot of work. He doesn't like sitting down.
He hates
In other words, if I'm available.
He likes talking too, by the way.
He does. Poor Diego doesn't get the answer when Duran talks. But if I'm available and it's a safe situation, I want to pitch in that day. I don't want it to be, well, you threw 2 days in a row and we just don't want to use you a third day. So I like to see that they are giving Duran that opportunity. Brad Keller, Alvarado, those 3 guys last night got the job done.
By the way, I thought,
things down.
Real quick, Brad Keller, I thought was a big moment last night, because this is a guy who has struggled a lot at times this year. He had to come in and save Sugar from himself. He had to come in and save the day. And I thought for Keller to come in
and
there.
Who would have ever thought that Keller in this season would be the guy that you're turning to save someone else's ass?
Right. That's my point. Is that I need Keller to come in and save someone else. And he came in, got the job done, bing, bang, boom, out of the inning. I thought that maybe it isn't, but I think it's a big confidence booster.
Well, I thought that too. The fact that Keller got the job done, because he has been a guy, or you know, so there's 2 things that I want, you know, Sugar is a guy that I think that they have liked, and he has been better than they thought and given them more than they thought.
Correct.
So last night was their time to say, okay, let's see if we can give you a little higher leverage situation. That wasn't a high leverage situation in terms of score, but more inning. Hey, okay, 7-1, it's a 7th inning. You're going to get that 7th inning, and let's see what happens. And he didn't pitch well. That doesn't mean you don't go back to years ago, where they kept using him in like the 6th inning and 7th innings. They weren't kind of using him in those late inning situations. And then the next year they worked. Now, Sugar, it's not quite, I don't think, the arm talent that Hoffman was. So, but if you can get him to start pitching some 7th innings, that's another guy that you can kind of lean on.
You know what? If you learn over the course of the year that he's only the 6th inning guy, then it is what it is. At least you know, because you tried it in June.
All right, so Phil's, that's the story there. Let's flip over to the game last night real quick. We're going to talk about the game. It was a historic game last night.
Oh, you mean the next game?
Greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. It is the largest halftime comeback ever. I can't believe what I watched last night. I stayed all the way to the end, but I got to be honest. I felt like something bad was going to happen for the Spurs. Like, I kept watching, and it was like they made it 22 at one point. And I'm like, something just doesn't feel right here. Like 22. And the way that Breen would, at each basket, when they would cut it, and the crowd would stay into it. Like, they're down in the 20s, and the crowd just would not let them get out of it. So as much as the Knicks fans are a bunch of knuckleheads after the game, they were electric last night in carrying that team back into that game. You're talking about a ticket price last night that averaged $8,600, according to Vivid Seats. It's the most expensive average NBA ticket price since 2010. Like, that place was buzzing with people who had spent almost $8,500. You're down by 27 at half, and nobody went away. Nobody turned their backs.
Everyone was there.
They were down by 29 in that game in the second half. And I just never felt like the Spurs had that game. And when it got down to single digits, I said, this game, they're going to win this game. And I just cannot believe the multitude of errors that they made. Now, as a Sixer fan, I feel like I've watched that game all too many times. But now the Spurs fans got to see what it's like to have ineptitude out there. That's a team that has two things. One, inexperience everywhere. Harper. I mean, the one guy who has experience on that team is Fox, and he's a young guy. But
there have been games that he has not played well in the second half of games.
Last night was right at the top of it. I mean, the fact that he takes the layup and tries to score late in that game that's the game right there. I mean, if he just dribbles that out, they have to foul him.
But my point is that wasn't the first time in the series that he has come up small.
Well, he did hit the big shot the night before.
But,
yeah,
right.
I mean, but my point is, he's one of the few veterans they have on that team.
Right.
So you could see that they just didn't have a stabilizer out there to kind of say, all right, listen, guys, we have a lead. Let's slow this down. They're shooting threes on the first shot, the first look they got. They're jacking up threes. I mean, it was terrible, but that's where you do look at the coach. All right, I'm not a big blame the coach guy, but this is where his inexperience, like it was almost like he was like, I don't want to call out timeout because I don't know what to say to these guys.
And that was one of my takeaways, which was they were attacking Champagnie late in the third, early in the fourth, again and again and again. At some point, as the coach, you got to be like, I got to get this guy off the floor. He's hurting me. And PJ Carlissimo made the comment last night here on 97.3 ESPN. He said that Mitch Johnson took too long to get Champagnie out of the game, and that led the Knicks right back into it.
Well, the Knicks did a good job where they made the switch where they put Alvarado out on the floor, and that gave them two ball handlers. So whenever they doubled Brunson, now they had a second ball handler on the floor. And by the way, Alvarado had a great game. He made some key shots. He made some clutch shots. He made some big shots. You're thinking, are you kidding me? Who is he even playing for? That the fact that he's out on the floor, and not only is he out there, he's making shots.
It almost had like a JJ Barea vibe to it, didn't it?
Oh my God. I was like, I couldn't figure out who was, it was Bridges that was the one that he was out there for. They had Mikal Bridges out of the game, and they had him in there because Shamet was out there too. So they had some shooters, they had some ball handlers, but this is the second NBA Finals in history where you've got multiple games decided by a point. So you have that, the closest of these games, down by 29. I can't even believe what I saw. The OG play, not boxing him out. I mean, that is an epic. But the Fox thing, I don't know how he doesn't say, look, we have the lead. I'm just going to dribble this thing around, and you're going to have to chase me and foul me. Instead, he goes to the basket. He doesn't make it. It was just an epic fail.
Yeah. And you have to wonder now, did the Spurs losing that game, how does that impact them mentally?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see them winning 3 straight. I don't see that happening. No, I don't see them winning 3 straight. Maybe they win the game at home, but I don't see them winning 3 straight. That place was rocking last night. You got everybody. I said, just think how eerie of a situation this is. You have the 5 guys on the floor and a bunch of guys on the bench, and they are literally the only people in that building that want to see you succeed. And everybody in there. That was a true home court advantage last night.
By the way, did you know, Mike Gill, New York Knicks are now 2-0 when Taylor Swift is in the building?
Good for them. Jeez. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I don't know what you want me to do with that insignificant stat there.
Well, I'm
What's
just
their
saying.
record with this guy in the building or that girl in the building? I mean, there's 500 different celebrities there last night.
Well, there was one who wasn't there, and then one who was. So
Well, they win last night in an epic fashion. We'll talk about that later on because I've never seen anything in basketball like that where the Spurs they scored 80 plus points in the first half and they were on pace for 160 at one point. All right, more sports match coming up on the other side. John McMullen's observations from Eagles OTAs. What did he see? What's the offense look like? He joins me next. 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video. You can watch the show on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Got a lot happening, of course, the rest of the week here with the Phillies going to be taking on the Brewers. We'll be all over that series. We got boxing coming up this weekend in Atlantic City. We're going to tell you more about the fights in the 3 o'clock hour. This hour of the show, it's brought to you by the law offices of Craig A. Altman. And right now, to talk a little birds, back at OTAs, the last 2 days they were out on the field. John McMullen was there from Birds 365 and Sports Illustrated, and he joins me right now on the Sports Bash with a little look at everybody wants to know, John, new look offense. What did we see? Was it discernible to you that things look a little different?
Yeah, definitely from the perspective of the branding, as I like to call it, under center, more bunch formations, more condensed stuff. So, but I think it's mainly about the packaging. It's kind of what Parks Frazier said when he talked to us this week. Film, the concepts are not going to be that different, but they're going to try to dress it up and marry it. And, the whole goal is to make a running play look the same as a passing play and kind of marry that together. So, and Jalen Hurts said it yesterday, it's about the intent more than the concepts and things like that, which I think is going to upset some people, but it is what it is. I still think they're going to be a run first team. And if they're successful, it's going to be because of the offensive line and Saquon Barkley.
How's the offensive line different in this offense? Because we did hear Lane Johnson talk about that when he spoke on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I think, they're healthy-ish, at least as healthy as you can expect. They're excited. I think they're invested. I talked about Cam specifically and Landon Dickerson last year because of what they were going through. They were, kind of miserable, always in a bad mood. And now they're bright-eyed, which is a good sign, I think, because it shows you that they're feeling better. They're not gutting through stuff. And I think that's half the battle. If that starting five is healthy and out there, they're gonna be, a top 5 offensive line. The depth, though, and they had to sign Michael Jordan, not the basketball player, but the football player, is probably the shakiest it's been for a while. So they need those 5 starters to play a significant amount of time.
Let's look at, the wide receiver core here. I don't know. I know obviously Lemon wasn't out there, but Devontae Smith now becomes the big guy on this team. When you watch them in these, it's early. Listen, we know that, but is this the group or do they still need more?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell because we didn't get to see them together. Mekhi got the hamstring and they're being cautious, rightfully so, because no use pushing it in the spring. Devontae had an excused absence yesterday. So, we've been mainly watching a lot of Tay Wicks and Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore. So I would say that that's not good enough. But, if Devontae's out there with Mekhi Lemon, a lot of unknown with Mekhi, and then Tay Wicks is all of a sudden the third receiver, that might be okay. But it's not a slam dunk. Didn't look good over this spring practices, Mike. It did not look good. And it went far deeper than the starters. I mean, none of the quarterbacks look good. And you kind of hope that's a foundational thing, learning a new system. But, the defense looked like the fearsome foursome or the steel curtain. And you kind of wonder, well, are they that good? I think they're really good, but I think it was a combination of the yin and yang, and the offense was really bad. So the defense looked like world beaters.
A lot of questions about Jalen Hurts throwing the ball over the middle. I mean, was that something you saw a lot of or in the early stages here? Hey, get your head ready and prepared for that?
No, I think more of dump offs, more of, I think at one point Will Shipley caught 3 straight passes yesterday. And I think he caught 6 or 7 passes total. And probably downfield, there were 3 completions maybe. So, yeah, this is not positive if you want to base the passing offense on the spring practices. But again, it's not that big of a deal yet. You're just learning foundations, but all you can do is what you saw, and I'm sure you'll be talking to other people about it, whether it's Andrew or Moshe or Adam. But yeah, it wasn't good.
All right, so offense not looking good in the first 2 days of the OTAs. Now they'll take a break, and they'll try to package this up when they get back in mid to late July for the offensive side of things. And, and obviously, you just talk about the running backs catching the football one. That's one thing. We were reading an article over at ESPN.com that mentioned the Eagles with a 12 personnel package as kind of one to watch, which would indicate 2 tight ends. And I was wondering if you think Eli Stowers might have a bigger role in this offense than maybe we originally thought, or maybe the running back.
No, I think you're going to see a lot of 12. They've even done some 13. It hasn't been Eli. Now he injured himself. He wasn't in team drills yesterday, but even before that, he didn't do much. But it's mainly been Dallas and Johnny Muntz, and Grant Calcaterra was injured as well. E.J. Jenkins has been good, so I wouldn't shut the door on him yet. So basically, and there's been some Cam Latu back at tight end as well. So they've been using this little bunch sort of set with 3 tight ends to get somebody loose, which is a nice little tweak that they've been able to do. In OTAs, they used Eli as a decoy to get, I think it was Johnny Muntz loose, and then it was Cam Latu. So, the play 12, somebody's got to block. They're not receivers, so somebody's got to block. And that's where Johnny Munt comes in, and Cam Latu and E.J. Jenkins, because those are the guys that could be difference makers as blockers.
All right, John, defense, you just said, are they really good? Is this defense better than the defense? Does it have the makings of a better defense than the one we saw a year ago?
Yeah, I think talent-wise it is better because Reek Woolen was probably the spring MVP. I mean, he was just phenomenal. Had another interception yesterday where Jalen kind of thought he had Dallas Goedert breaking open. And all of a sudden you see this 6'4" praying mantis who runs a 4.26, and he just was a little bit late, and that was it. And he just picked it. So if you think about him and with Quinyon Mitchell, I don't think we were only at 4 practices, but I don't think they completed one pass down the field on Quinyon Mitchell.
Jeez.
One pass. There are a couple, short stuff in front of them, like the Will in the backs, but not one pass down the field. And obviously Cooper's Cooper. So, 2 all-pros and a guy who could be an all-pro if he gains some consistency. They might have the best cornerback group in the NFL. And by the way, Jonathan Jones can still play. So they even have depth.
So I was going to say, what is the scenario with Cooper DeJean in your mind? Is he exclusively going to run at safety? Is he going to be in the slot? 50, how do they, do they have someone who they feel comfortable that they're not moving him back and forth yet, or not really?
No, he's only going to play safety in the base defense, which is an oxymoron. I don't even like calling it the base defense because it's not. The base defense is nickel when he's in the slot. So since Vic has got here 10 to 15 plays a game, and it can change, if you play a heavy run team like Chicago, maybe you have more less nickel on the field, but generally it's been about 10 to 15 times a game. And when there's only two cornerbacks on the field, Cooper's going to play safety. And when they're in nickel, which is basically 75% of the time, he's going to be in the slot.
So similar to last year, or because it seems
Well,
like a
last
lot of
year,
people.
last year in the base, he played corner. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
All right. So, the defense, I agree with you, by the way. AJ Epinesa, is this a guy that you think can contribute? I was surprised to see that. I forgot that I thought he had signed with Cleveland, and then we saw yesterday that he did, and then that fell through. So that was kind of a sneaky little signing, but is he a guy that you think is part of the rotation, or just kind of here and has to make this team?
Well, you got it because of what happened in Cleveland. He failed his physical. So he had a bunch of injuries last year. It's interesting because in his career, he's been a very durable guy. He's played 16, 17 games almost every year, but evidently he had a bunch of different things, a foot, a neck, and I would imagine the neck is the most serious. He had a concussion. So, I mean, obviously Cleveland wasn't comfortable with it. Maybe it just needed a little bit more time to heal. But if he's healthy, he's been a good player, a good rotational player. But I think that's the key with him. You have to see where he is health-wise. But it's interesting because on paper they really didn't need an extra edge rusher. But there's something going on with Joe Tryon. I wish I could tell. I tried to find out. I have no idea. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles and hasn't been here, even at mandatory work. And I don't know why. He's obviously not holding out. He just signed a 1-year deal. So maybe something is going on, personal reasons there. So, and maybe that's why they brought him in. But I honestly, they're pretty set at edge rusher even without him, because you have Grenard, you have Nolan, you have Jalix Hunt, and Arnold Ebiketie. So, and then Joe is like number 5. So, he'd be in that 4 or 5 role. He might be better than Ebiketie, might not. He does bring size. They don't have a lot of size on the edge. He's a big dude, and they haven't had that for a while. 6'4", 6'5", 275. So, maybe he can help them in that. But I think the more impactful signing was Michael Jordan, not the Michael Jordan, but the football Michael Jordan.
He does play guard, and his name is Michael Jordan. You sure? Yeah. I know he tried to play baseball one time.
So he's got 45 NFL starts, I think.
Yeah.
And
I thought those were 2 interesting signings yesterday.
Yeah. They have no depth on the interior of the offensive, at least proven depth. I mean, they're very high on Drew Kendall, but he started 1 game, and it was week 18 last. He wasn't even in a meaningful scenario. And they've been trying out Miles Hinton at guard, who has no starts, 2nd year. Micah Morris, a rookie 6th-round pick. They have no depth at guard. So they had him in, Michael Jordan, they had him in for the rookie camp as a tryout. I thought they were going to sign him then. And here they finally get it done. Maybe he just said, you know what, I want to take the spring off, and then, we'll get it done. But I think that was the more important, probably the lesser known, but I think that was the more important signing because they're pretty deep on the edge. But they have no depth, no proven depth on the interior of the offensive line.
So we'll lull in the Birds' schedule now from now until about mid-July. Nothing going on. This is, as you always tell us, this is the time the teams hate the most, where they don't have any contact.
Yeah, the GMs hate. Yeah, they don't want that phone to ring. You just hope nobody gets in trouble. The Eagles have had, generally done well. I think, you got to go back to Darryl Worley for any kind of incident. I think. Serious. I mean, Nolan got arrested for speeding, but you kind of cross your fingers this time of year, and you don't want that phone call with somebody getting in trouble.
Well, Birds 365 will be giving you all the Eagles in the summertime. Don't forget, each and every morning, weekdays, 8 to 10 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And you can read more from John over at Sports Illustrated right here on the Sports Bash. John McMullen with an update on Eagles OTAs. All right, John, we'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, there's John with all the insight from Eagles OTAs, which finished up yesterday, which means yes, there is a little lull in the Eagles NFL schedule. There's not much on the sports NFL calendar in the month of June and early July, but training camp will be here before we know it. But we do have Phillies tomorrow night, big series with the Brewers. We're going to get into that one with Phillies Fastball later on in the show. Plus, Andrew DiCecco has his observations from OTAs. That's all still to come on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 253, more Sports Bash on the way. Next hour, we're going to tell you about some big fights going on, and we have tickets to give away. So listen for that as well. Next hour on the Sports Bash. This hour of the show, it's been brought to you by our friends at the law offices of Craig A. Altman.
Listen, Mike, you need someone to fight for you. If you get into a car accident, slip and fall at work, and I feel like everywhere I go lately, someone's running into somebody. There's a car accident. There's an incident. I'm driving to work. There's a pole down on Route 50. The light got taken out. Well, if you're into a car accident, you need to call Craig A. Altman at 856-327-8899, located in Vineland. They know what it takes to win. You don't pay anything unless they win. Get your free consultation now. Go to CraigAltmanLaw.com and find out why they are the best call. Their car accident, slip and fall, or whatever you may deal with. Tough lawyers, tough cases, CraigAltmanLaw.com.
No Phils tonight, but we got plenty of Phils conversation on our Phillies fastball segment. Plus, the White Horse RV text board is open, 609-403-0973. What do you think the Phillies should do if Adolis Garcia misses some time? We'll break down the scenarios coming up. Plus, Game 4 last night was a historic night at the Garden. Holy mackerel. We'll mark all of the moments in the game. I still can't believe what I saw last night. And I didn't bail. Who bailed on that game last night? Tell us. Tell us who bailed. Admit it. Sports Fast Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and watch us live on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. All right, 3 o'clock hour brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. I think you need the AC today. It is soupy outside today. First time really in 2026 that it has been hot out there. A little soupy kind of feel down the shore on a June day. A couple days here is going to be really hot, hot, hot. How you feeling? I'm Mike Gill. It's the Sports Bash. Got no Phils tonight. Got hot weather. No NBA finals. We do have the hockey tonight. You can listen to it right here on 97.3 ESPN. That's been a great series as well, but I don't know if anything tops the game last night. In historical reverence, Jalen Brunson, 36 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists in the game last night. Back-to-back NBA finals performances with 35 and 5. First player to do so since LeBron James. So Brunson's putting himself on another tier. He's going to win this. Now, do you give the OG, the MVP, for the tip in? He had 30 points too last night. I don't know who you give it to, but Brunson's been just – this is one of those NBA final runs that you look for like a guy who's put himself on another plane. Jalen Brunson has done that. I don't know if any other Nick has done that. Brunson has done it. He is now – it's like next year now he'll go into the season as a potential MVP candidate after what he's doing right here. He has been – now he takes that shot last night from way out. And Anunoby comes flying in, and you heard it on 97.3 ESPN. Mark Keshisher, who's been on our show, was like, Anunoby out of nowhere! I mean, you're thinking, how? How do you not – one of the things, too, is you're looking at that time of the game with they had to inbound the ball and all that stuff. You don't have your guys like Cornigan off the bench coming in, a couple bigger guys to try to corral that last rebound, box out, get a little toughness out there. That was one thing that stood out to me as well. But what a comeback. We're watching the game, and I told you yesterday that, at the beginning, I was kind of like, this Knicks team is kind of interesting. I like Brunson. Like, you can't hate Brunson. I think Brunson might be the coolest, nicest guy in the world. He looks like he has the most miserable look on his face all the time. But when he talks, he's so down to earth and just like, how do you not like that guy? So I like Brunson a lot. Of all the players in the tour in the series, I like Brunson the most. He's probably the guy that I like the most out of everybody. But I found myself gravitating towards the Spurs the other night, and last night felt the same way. In other words, I wasn't rooting for the Spurs, but I felt when the Knicks were coming back, I was kind of apprehensive and felt, oh man, the Knicks are going to win this. I think the reality kicked in of, I'm for the story. Like when I said this before, when the Red Sox won the World Series, that was a story that got checked off that baseball doesn't have anymore. When the Cubs won in 2016, I said that wasn't good for baseball. That was bad for baseball. That story checked off. That's a story. Those are things that fans get behind. Like, this team can't win. And it's building and building. The Knicks on 53 years. And you get to that point where you're like, I don't know if I want to see this streak end. I want the misery to continue for the Knicks fans. And the realization last night kicked in at some point. I don't know when it was. Maybe down 9, maybe down 7. I don't know what it was, but it was the Knicks are going to win this championship. And I don't know how I feel about that. I know some friends who are Knicks fans, not a lot. I mean, some of my college buddies, some of them are not I don't know, a lot of hardcore Knicks fans. Any hardcore Knicks fans?
Not really.
Yeah,
I can't really. I know a few people who are from New York who are Knicks fans, but I don't know anybody who they're not wearing swag. I mean, I think I know one lady. She's a lifelong Knicks fan, but I've never seen her decked out in swag. Maybe a hat every once in a while.
Well, I went to school with a bunch of guys from North Jersey, but none of them were mega NBA guys or big time Knicks fans. I don't really have, I know some people who are Giant fans, Yankees fans,
yep.
But not really a Knicks fan. So I guess I'm not as annoyed by the Knicks fan as some others are because I don't really have that Knicks fan in my stable. But the annoyance of seeing them possibly end this 53-year run is starting to set in for me a little bit. The fact that they have been such an afterthought in the NBA for so long, and that this might end really out of right field. We knew they would be pretty good, but NBA Finals championship good, I don't know that we're ready to get there quite yet. And listen, I said when they made the trade for Karl-Anthony Towns that I thought that was a bad move by them, and possibly I'm going to be wrong on that. I thought when they lost Hartenstein that lost some of their toughness, and Hartenstein ends up winning the title last year, and now Karl-Anthony Towns might get one this year. Now, they didn't get traded per se for each other, but Hartenstein signed with Oklahoma City.
There was a domino effect.
Yeah, the domino effect was they got rid of Hartenstein because he signed away, and they replaced him with Karl-Anthony Towns. And I thought Karl-Anthony Towns didn't have the toughness and that they lacked that toughness. Now, when they fired Tibbs, they kind of got away from the toughness. They kind of got away from that moniker a little bit. And there were moments like when the Knicks were coming back in the game last night. They were coming back. And there was one play where Castle got the offensive board. And you were like, okay, that was the one they needed. And you thought maybe that was going to settle the ship. Maybe that was going to be the one that kind of like said, okay, the Knicks, you used all your energy to get back into this game. But that offensive rebound by Castle was the one that kind of restabilized it. And nope, that didn't happen. Wemby, by the way, steps to the line with an opportunity to nail two. He misses them both.
Yep.
Just a epic miss at that time of the game. I thought that, listen, that game was physical, and it was chippy, and it was everything. I mean, early in the game, you had them looking at constant flagrant foul opportunities. Was it a flagrant? You had Mitchell Robinson kind of cold clock Wemby in the throat. He had 24 points, but they did not come easy. They contested 22 of his 25 shot attempts. 88% of the time, he had a hand in his face. And you had a Karl-Anthony Towns flagrant foul in the third. Now, that's his third of the postseason. So this could be like a Draymond Green situation. If they can bait Towns into one more in Game 5 tomorrow night. Actually, they don't play tomorrow night. It's Saturday night. They're taking tomorrow night off. But I thought a couple of the things that you saw in the fourth quarter of that game was the youth of the Spurs really settled in at that time.
If I get back to a couple of things you said, first of all, you mentioned about how, when they got rid of Tibbs, the perception was that they weren't going to be as tough anymore. But they're actually playing more defense under Mike Brown than they were under Tibbs. You mentioned about the physicality last night. The Knicks have been physical pretty much this entire playoff run, and part of the physicality has come from Karl-Anthony Towns, a guy that has never been known for his physicality. So, for as much as people were giving the Knicks a side eye about getting rid of Tibbs and hiring Mike Brown seemingly has found the way to, I don't know if it's specifically him or something he has said and done that has led to it, but this Knicks team all of a sudden is playing at a different level defensively than they ever did under Tibbs.
Yeah, and listen, they're very they're not deep by any stretch of the imagination. They're not a very deep team. I mean, Deuce McBride has not played well in the series. It's really Shamet. The one guy last night was Alvarado.
Yep.
You got Mitchell Robinson. There's not a lot of depth on this team, but right now Brunson's the best player in the tournament. I mean, he's the best player in the series, period, point blank. He's the best guy they got. Now, Victor Wembanyama has had some moments, but he hasn't been better than Brunson has been. And at times where there's so many times where they have Brunson up on where Wembanyama's stuck guarding him, and I don't think those possessions have gone really well because, yes, it gets the ball out of Brunson's hands, but you're giving a lot of open looks for other guys. De'Aaron Fox, by the way, critical errors down the stretch. He turned the ball over with 2 minutes left, if you remember that, in the fourth. Well, I don't know what he was doing, and that was the Josh Hart missed layup, so he lucked out on that one. But the bigger mistake in the game, and maybe that we'll all look back on, is he tries to go for the layup with they're up 1 point with 11 seconds left.
Right, burn the clock down.
And he goes for the layup. It gets blocked by Anunoby, so people will forget. Anunoby gets the tip in, he also had the block before that. And the shot clock is off. The Knicks have to foul him. And this leads to the Knicks getting the rebound on the missed layup by Fox and then the go-ahead shot, and it leaves the Spurs with just 1.2, which, by the way, it looked like they did get a open look. It looked like Castle got open, but the pass never got to him.
Right.
Game 5 Saturday, 8:30, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Just, I can't even believe what I was watching last night.
If I could spin it back to something else you said before about how, you're conflicted about the Knicks being, playing well and winning a championship and all that comes with it. I made a comment on Saturday's show, and I'll say it here with you. I think that it's better when the New York teams are playing well because it makes the rivalry have more value.
Always. Listen,
I
the NBA
want
has lacked the Knicks. They've lacked the Bulls. They've lacked the big market teams for a long, long time.
But I mean, not just for that, but also for if you're a Philly sports fan. I don't want to just beat up on the Knicks every year or the Giants or whoever. I want those teams to have a threat to me. I want to beat them and definitively beat them when they're value as well.
Well, listen, 3-1, the Knicks are up. They're going to win this thing, I think, anyway. I don't see that team losing 3 straight. After winning 12 in a row, then they lose. They're down 29. The way they came back, they could have rolled over last night and been like, all right, we lost again. But no, they absolutely – by the way, teams up 3-1. They are 37-1. The only team that came back is – do you remember?
37-1. I've not seen this stat.
There's one team that was down 3-1 in NBA Finals that came back to win.
Oh, LeBron's Cavs?
That's right, 2016. So you get a team down by as many as 29, largest comeback in NBA Finals history. Down by 27, that's the largest in NBA Finals history to come back from. OG, 33 points. He gets the game-winning block and tip in. Yep. Second career go-ahead field goal. He won an NBA championship as well, with the Raptors. He's the 5th player in Finals history with 30 points in the go-ahead field goal in the last 3 seconds. The only other guys are Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Jerry West.
Oh, that's all.
OG is now on that list. He's the 5th player in play-by-play era to make his first 2 career go-ahead field goal in the final 5 seconds of a playoff game. So big-time player, big-time shots. Tyrese Halliburton, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Robert Horry. Big shot Bob. So OG last night put himself on a mantle that I don't know that anybody saw him being a part of. They are now 1 win away from the 1973 is the last time they won a title. And they'll try to do it in San Antonio on Saturday. First home win for them in the finals since 1999. That's how long it's been since the Knicks won a NBA Finals game in that building. Now, they hold a 3-1 series lead for the second time in 9 appearances in 1973. They also led 3-1. So they will look to close it out Saturday night. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. And if they win this, it would be the longest gap between titles in NBA history. I mean, 53 years. That is the longest any team has gone without from winning one to the next one.
What was the previous gap? The Warriors?
It was the Bucks. They won in 71 and 2021.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking maybe the Warriors. I know Rick Barry in the 70s, so I was in the neighborhood.
On the Spurs side of things, they trail in the NBA Finals 3-1. This is the first time they've ever trailed. In 7 appearances, they have never been down 3-1 in the finals. Now, they've been down 3-1 in NBA postseason histories, and they lost every single time. They have never come back from down 3-1. They made 14 3-point shots in the first half, which you knew they were going to get cold. But my question was, why did they keep jacking them up when they had the lead? They just kept getting open looks and taking them. Now, again, they're open looks, but no time off the clock. Charles Barkley said it best last night. This is the dumbest team, the dumbest half of basketball I've ever seen played in the history of the NBA. I still, here we are the next day. I can't believe that I just watched all that unfold.
But it goes back to the point you made earlier about how young the Spurs are, how inexperienced they are. We can, Barkley or whoever can say that was dumb, that we shouldn't have. But you know what? Isn't that what young players do? with guys who don't have experience, don't they make plays like that, Mike?
Well, listen, you don't have very many of them in the history of the game, of young players stepping up and making that killer instinctful play. And that's where I think the Spurs, where they don't have, I don't know who, like you could say, like,
They don't
Robert
have an
Horry,
assassin.
Iguodala, like one of those like veteran guys who's kind of like the not the star, he's not the secondary player, but he's
Like the fourth or fifth
yeah,
guy.
they don't have like that guy who
Well, you
they-
mentioned Robert Horry. Robert Horry is a perfect example, by the way, former Spur as well as Laker. He was a guy who was never the 1 or the 2 or the 3 or even the 4 in many teams, but he was the guy that seemed to always be there when you needed him. And you're right, the Spurs don't really have that guy at this point.
Not yet, no. Their veteran players are not like the backup to Wemby.
Cornette.
Cornette, yeah. He's not like a scoring player. He's not a guy who's on the court all that much. He's a veteran player, but
Right.
he's not on the court. Fox is the guy, but Fox is still like, he's not really a veteran much either. I think he's only been in the playoffs one time.
One of the time with
Kings.
the Kings, yeah.
Chris in Delaware says, I turned it off at half, checked back with the Spurs up 15 with about 8 minutes left. I blame the coach and Wemby. Wemby missed 2 free throws late. Jordan and Bird, who were were stone cold killers, would never allow that. They would have closed it out. Wemby is just not that killer yet. Maybe never will be. That's from Chris in Delaware. Yeah,
I think that's unfair at the end.
I don't know if he ever will be, but I think last night the moment was too big for him.
It was, but guess what? There are a lot of guys who have gotten to this point as young players who did not win their first NBA Finals appearance. You think about LeBron James, for example. You think about Shaquille O'Neal. There are tons of guys who have gotten to the NBA Finals and couldn't win their first
That
time.
Magic team was upset by the Rockets.
Yeah.
They were a heavy favorite, but very young.
And the Rockets team was very veteran laden.
First day of work today, had to bail on the game at halftime. Rooting for the Spurs, was a diehard Knicks fan growing up in Northwest Jersey in the 90s, lost touch and unfortunately got hooked on the Sixers. That's a bad trade right there, I guess, right now. Knicks for Sixers. But hey, he bailed on the game at halftime. You missed that unbelievable game last night. That's a shame.
Can you get some money back on that trade?
Player to be named later.
Yeah.
I don't know what you get on that one. That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
609-403-0973. We got some more text messages. A lot of this stuff coming up on the Phillies too. I asked you before the 3:00 break. With Adolis Garcia out, what are some options that you have in your mind? I told you earlier, I think Felix Reyes is going to get called up, and he'll be the guy. Now, this is if Garcia even misses time. We don't know that to be true. The way that Don Mattingly framed it yesterday made it feel like he wasn't all that optimistic. Here's what Mattingly said after the game last night.
What's your level of concern about Garcia?
I'd say a little bit. Obviously, I didn't, anytime the guy, they kind of know when they've done something. So we'll see what happens. They'll probably get some imaging tomorrow. We'll find out where, the true severity of it. I hope for the best. We'll see what happens.
Given what he's done for you guys defensively, how much of a blow would it be if he has to miss some time here?
Well, obviously, you lose a defender like that. It changes things a little bit. But, everybody deals with, stuff all the time. So we'll have to, somebody's going to have to pick it up.
So the thing that he said was that if you listen to the guys, they know if something's there, and he kind of knew it right off the bat. So I think some of the options are Reyes would, I think, be the number one. If I was ranking what I think they'll do, I think Reyes will be the guy they call up. He'll play right field for Garcia if he misses extended time. When I say extended time, meaning an IL stint. The other option would be move Marsh to right and play Kemp in left. Otto Kemp gets called up. He plays left field. I don't think they want to do that. Kemp's just not a good defensive outfielder. Reyes is not a great defensive outfielder, but he's better than Kemp is in left playing right field, and it keeps Marsh in left. So I think they would rather call Reyes up and play him in right than Kemp up and play him in left and move Marsh over to right field. So I think Reyes is probably the top option. Now, I guess you could go outside the box and put Bryce Harper out there.
Who you been at first then?
Well, you could either A, put Bohm at first base and then use like Sosa at third base.
True.
It opens up the door to get Sosa. Or you could move Bohm to first and use Kemp at third, which puts him at his spot that he feels more comfortable at.
True.
That's another option, but I can't see that happening.
I have an outside the box idea for you.
Yeah.
Call up Dante Nori.
Nori's hurt.
Darn it.
Yeah.
I thought I had something there.
Yeah. I don't think Nori would fit either because he is left-handed.
He's left-handed, but I would just think of a guy that I know has some potential, and he would be a guy that, you know what? Why not? Come up here, get some playing time. If it worked out, then we know you could do it. If it doesn't work out, we just send you back to the minors and keep grooming you.
Yeah, I like Nori. I'm a guy, I brought it up way early in the season when they were like 9-19 or right around there. I was like, hey, you want to really shake something up? Call that kid up. Because I do think that Nori's a kid that will hit at this level. 609-403-0973. Got some text messages here. Phil and Brigantine. Mike, we'll take the Buxton. Pull the trigger for F's sake. Tired of talking about pathetic right field for 4 years. What would it take to get Buxton? Well, last year to get Duran, you had to give up Mick Abel and Tyee, the catcher.
2 of your top 10 prospects.
I would imagine Buxton is going to be in a similar situation. He still has 2 years left on the deal, much like Duran. Because Duran had time left on the deal, you had to pay a little bit more.
Yep.
Because you get to keep him.
Exactly.
So I would think Buxton is going to get you in that range where you're going to have to give up maybe Gage Wood, and I don't know that the Phillies' problem is they don't really, maybe Arun Escobar.
I was saying, they don't really have like a specific guy now. They've already made some of these moves, or that like Painter and Crawford are here. Aiden Miller's getting back surgery. So I mean, you're running out of bodies.
We read off the top 10 prospects in their system yesterday. I don't think any of them move the needle. No. I don't think any of them. Dante Nori, I like. He's hurt right now, and I think he'll be fine. I think it was a minor thing. And Aiden Miller's the other one. He's hurt. So to answer Phil's question, what will it take to get Buxton? I think the Phillies are going to have to give up a lot. I think you're going to have to give up probably 2 of your top prospects.
And the Phillies' other problem is that there are other teams in baseball who have more ammunition to make.
609-403-0973. Text board is open. You can always hit us on the White Horse RV text board. Hey, my friends at Cross County Connection present 6 new South Jersey Connect shuttles, providing fare free transportation across southern New Jersey. You don't have to pay. That's right. Connect to jobs, colleges, healthcare, shopping, government services, and NJ Transit hubs. All at no cost to riders. For details, call 856-229-7571 or visit driveless.com to see how Cross County Connection can connect you. I am Mike Gill, and this is the Sports Bash. Coming up tonight, our Phillies Fastball segment. You know, we've been getting a lot of great feedback on the Phillies Fastball. I really appreciate the people who have been texting in and saying how much they like to hear, just the 3 of us just kind of spinning around Phillies topics. I do appreciate getting the feedback. Listen, that doesn't mean everybody loves it. Some people obviously say, I don't like you 3 guys, but we like feedback. We like to hear feedback. And so far, I would say a majority of the feedback on that segment has been very positive. Like yesterday with Dave Gallagher, the amount of people that texted in telling us how much they love hearing Dave Gallagher's insight. It's really cool to hear because I think Dave's outstanding. When we talk baseball, I can sit the problem is I sit in my chair and I start listening. Like I'm like zoned out because I'm just listening to what he says. But I appreciate everybody who has been texted in on Dave's segment and the new Philly Fastball segment and our Cooney Report, all the different new things that we're trying to bring to the show this year on the Sports Bash. Hey, big fight coming up this weekend in Atlantic City at the Tropicana, and we're going to tell you more about it. 2 local fighters are going to be meeting June 13th. We have tickets for that, so listen up. Your chance to hear it is coming up next. 332 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. This Saturday, Boxing Insider Promotion presents the first showdown of undefeated heavyweight fighters. They're both from Cape Atlantic League schools. How about that? You get two guys, both from Cape Atlantic League schools right here. You can check it out at Tropicana inside the showroom at Atlantic City. Saturday night. It's the 8th boxing event that my next guest, Larry Goldberg, the promoter, has brought to Tropicana Atlantic City. And Larry, I got to imagine this is probably the most anticipated one of the 8 that you have brought here.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, for having me back on. I appreciate it. This is an interesting one. We have 2 undefeated heavyweights. Both of them are from the Atlantic City area, as you mentioned, and both of them are looking to use the other one as a stepping stone and to make a statement and to move on to the next part of their career. This is the kind of fight that is virtually impossible to make at any level of boxing, much less at the club level.
I was going to say that. I mean, you got one guy, Josh Popper. I was playing Blues Travel earlier. Sorry, John Popper. This is Josh Popper, 7-0. Bruce Seldon is 8-0. To get 2 guys undefeated this early in their careers, generally, they don't like to meet each other undefeated because somebody doesn't want to get that first loss. So, as you kind of hinted, this is not an easy thing to do.
Impossible. If you're in the business of boxing and you have a heavyweight fighter like Josh Popper, like Bruce Seldon, the idea is you fight a bunch of cream puffs, you get them up to 15-0, 18-0, then you try to sell them off for a big payday down the road with a heavyweight boxer. So the fact is, you've got 2 guys who are looking at each other with complete disrespect of their other skills, and they says, no, he's just another cream puff. I'll take him. And so you've got 2 strong-willed guys that are coming in here to Atlantic City, and they're coming for real. Like, this is, it's driving me crazy. Like, I can't keep everyone happy on both sides. Everyone thinks, oh, you're posting this, you want this one to win. No, you're posting that, you want this one to win. And the truth is, I want to have a really good fight, and I think that this is the kind of fight that Atlantic City needs to have, and we need to have more of.
Larry Goldberg, Boxing Insider Promotions. Give us, let's start with Popper. His, what makes him special, 7-0. How has he kind of got here? You've had him on your card a few times here.
Josh Popper is a very interesting fella. He went to Holy Spirit. He's from EHT. He moved to New York like I did. Josh was very famous in the New York metro world of amateur boxing. He was a star amateur boxing standout, and he was also famous. He was dating the pop icon Madonna, so he was all over the tabloids. She would come to some of the amateur fights, and Josh went pro, and he had his first few fights in different jurisdictions. He came here in November, and he's had 2 fights. Before the first fight, he had intimated to people that he wanted to call out Bruce Seldon. Bruce Seldon's people heard that, and they're like, well, we'll fight him. But none of us believed that we were going to be able to make this fight. And we made it. I'm very excited. But Josh is a very interesting guy. He's a boxing coach. He has a very high boxing IQ. And if you take one look at him, he's right out of Central Casting. This is a guy who could literally be, the villain in the next Rocky movie.
Yeah, so Popper, Holy Spirit, 7-0, he has that crazy backstory. And then there's Bruce Seldon Jr. So if you're just a sports fan and you're listening, you're like, wait, I've heard that name before. Obviously a very famous name in the Atlantic City boxing lore.
Well, like I said, his father was a heavyweight champion from Atlantic City. His, fought Mike Tyson, had some big fights. And his son, Bruce Jr., went pro around when we came to Atlantic City on another card at the convention center. Then on our second show in Atlantic City, we've used him. So 6 out of Bruce's 8 fights have been at the Tropicana. He's had, I want to say 5 of them were by knockout. We've seen him grow. If you look at him, he looks like a tank. He looks like an action figure. He hits hard. He has a great coach in Julio Sanchez over at the Pleasantville Recreation Center. He's got a great manager in Jim Kurtz. Jim Kurtz is another Holy Spirit graduate. Jim Kurtz is also driving me crazy. Anyone's listening that knows Jim Kurtz, tell him he's driving me crazy. But this is going to be a fun fight, and Bruce is absolutely, ready for the challenge. And one of these guys is going to leave Atlantic City very disappointed, and one of them is going to possibly, graduate to the next level.
Yeah. So what's at stake for the winner of this one? Because they're both very early on, but as you said, normally you build up, then you face each other. Their building up hasn't been as much as normal, and now they're facing each other. So what's at stake in your mind for the winner?
Well, it's funny. We were talking about this earlier today. The fact is, this was a fight that I would have liked to have percolated for like 2 years, and we had this plan where we were going to put them on the same cards, and they were going to fight each other. We were going to fight the same opponents, and we were going to build them up that way. But because of just how the current landscape of boxing is, it was a situation where this was the only chance we were ever going to have to make the fight. Too many things could happen. This one could lose. This one could go here. If we were ever going to make the fight, we had to make it now. And so I genuinely believe that the winner of this fight, like I said, I know if Josh wins, I know that they're looking at some bigger things. I know if Bruce wins, I know that they're looking at bigger things. And there's a fighter who's fought in Atlantic City before. His name is Christian Prenga. Christian Prenga is an Albanian kid. He would fight on some of these cards and bring a big crowd. Never on any cards, unfortunately. Christian is fighting Anthony Joshua in his tune-up fight, but for the title overseas in a couple months. And that's the dream for a fighter like this, is you get to like 19-0, 19-1, and you get the phone call, and here's $1 million payday to go overseas and fight the champion and make the big money. And, Bruce Seldon is on that trajectory because of his name, because of his look, and Josh Popper is as well. So the winner of this fight will most likely get signed by one of the major promoters.
I was going to say, I would imagine both of these guys are very attractive to the next level of promotions, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact is that it's not the right time for either one of them to sign with the new Zuffa promotion. It's not the right time for them to sign with Top Rank or Golden Boy or any of those, the big promotions. But when when the winner, if the winner looks spectacular on Saturday night at the Tropicana, it goes viral, and they will most likely get picked up, and somebody, big will, get a hold of them, and they will basically put the chip under them, and they will, go to the next level. I mean, it's these are two very attractive heavyweight commodities, and as they like to tell us in the boxing business, you can make money with a bad heavyweight, and you've got two guys who they both have that it quality where they can move to the next level. So the fact that they're guaranteed to be great on June 13th for the Tropicana is just, amazing. And I just happen to be, lucky in the right place at the right time. And, when they both were kind of calling each other out in the media, well, Josh called Bruce out in the media, and Bruce immediately accepted. I immediately sent them both contracts, and we made the fight.
All right, Larry, they are the headliners. A lot of people in the boxing community do know those names. What else do you like on this card? Give us a cool rundown of some of the action that you will be keeping your eye on after that main event, or leading up to that main event, I would imagine.
Well, we got a couple of interesting fighters on this card. Of course, locally, we've got coming back. I brought him pro. He was on our first Police Athletic League show, Julio Sanchez III, who's the son of Julio Sanchez, who's Bruce Seldon's trainer. He's become one of our regulars. He's fighting a guy named Sean Rawl. Sean, this is Julio's toughest fight yet. So, and Julio has progressed so much in the last 2 years. It's been crazy to watch. And he's another local story that I think everyone can be proud of. There's a fella by the name of Damian Tinarello. We had Damian on our card last year. Damian is the first. I'm not sure he's the first, but he's an active member of the Air Force. And he was at the air show. He's flying the airplanes. He's for real. And we got him. He's fighting a guy by the name of Abdallah Attia that we're very excited about. We have Kashad Elliott, who at one point was signed by Top Rank. We have him matched against Scotty Stockman. We've got Diane Butt, who was in our co-feature. Diane has fought on our card before. He's fought on he was also on the Pro Box card in Atlantic City a couple of months ago, and he's fighting a guy by the name of Wilmark Brito. Diane's always in a good fight. He's from Philadelphia, and he comes to fight. We have David Malul fighting in a swing bout. This is David's fourth or fifth fight. 4-0. I just looked it up. David's an Orthodox Jew, so we have to do his fight after sundown. So there's going to be a whole crowd of people coming to watch him. As soon as the sun comes down for there. He's very popular out of Queens, New York, and we've got a guy by the name of John Zeb Rizwan, who is he's Pakistani. He is very very credentialed in the New York amateur world, and this will be his second fight. Obviously, his first fight down here. So we have a very good fight, but this card's built around that impossible to make two undefeated local heavyweights. This is my 21st professional card, 8th at the Tropicana, and this is the first time I've ever been able to put together a match of this magnitude, and I'm very excited, and sincerely I hope everyone can come out and watch this fight. And if you can't come to the Tropicana, we're showing it for free on YouTube.
Oh, pretty cool. There you go. So Tropicana, it is on June 13th this weekend, Saturday night, Tropicana Showroom. Great venue to check it out. Josh Popper, Bruce Selden Jr., and then you just heard Larry's expository on everybody else that will be on that card. So pick your favorite fights out, get out there, and if you can't make it, YouTube will have it as well. It's the 8th boxing event for Larry Goldberg's Boxing Insider Promotions. How long you been doing this, man?
I've had the website since we were all in college, but I've been doing the promotion since October 2022. I came in and did a club show in Midtown Manhattan, and it was the greatest thing I ever did. And we just started doing them in New York City, and then somewhere beginning of 2024, I had the opportunity to come home and do them in Tropicana, which was something I've always wanted to do to get to work at Tropicana. I used to work there as a beverage server, and then to work with the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. Larry Hazard was someone that we all looked up to in the old days because he was the one bringing in all the big fights, and so this was a really cool full circle moment for me personally. And every show that we do here, including this show, we've given a lot of tickets to the Atlantic City Police Athletic League and some of the other charities and some of the other youth boxing programs around New Jersey. So this is I'm the first promoter that's come into Atlantic City and forever to actually not just do the fights but also do the community fairs aspect of it, because look, this isn't going to last forever, and there's going to be a day where I'm just, hanging out with you at Maynard's, having a beer, and, I want to do the right thing while we're doing it.
Well, this fight should be a great one. This card should be a great one. Larry, great job, man, getting these two guys together, and we'll see what happens next for Boxing Insider Promotions. Local guy putting on a local card here at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Saturday night, get your tickets right now at Ticketmaster.com for Saturday night. Larry, good luck, man.
Thank you so much.
Always appreciate it. Always good to hear the fights back in Atlantic City. That's a big thing as well. And he's got a good one there. The winner of that fight, as he mentioned, what's next for them Saturday night. Now, my intention was to try to get over there Saturday night. If not, I'm glad to hear that it is on YouTube, because I will certainly be tuning in for that if I can't get over to the fight. Now, we're going to be giving tickets away. And if you can't win the tickets through the show, make sure you get to Ticketmaster.com for Saturday night. I can tell you this, it's not the same price as a Knicks game. Good entertainment, though. More Sports Smash coming up. 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. We'll give you a chance to score those tickets coming up very shortly here. Stick around. More Sports Smash coming up.
29-point comeback in the NBA Finals for New York. Pat.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Ev, because that's where I wanted to start, because I missed it, because I fell asleep at halftime.
Wait, can I just ask a technical follow-up on this? Because there's a difference. You went to sleep at halftime or you fell asleep at halftime? Meaning your intended goal was to go to sleep at halftime or no?
Well, I shaved my head, I took some melatonin, and fell asleep once I saw that the Knicks were down by like 30 points.
That means it was your intended goal if you're taking the sleeping medicine.
That was a choice. Sure was. I was like, this is great. This is great for me. Gonna get some extra sleep, which, by the way, I feel great this morning, so shout out. But I would have liked to see that, and I don't know if I'm a bad person for missing it or not.
Unsportsmanlike Moment of the day, producer Pat Costello went to sleep. He missed the epic ending last night. Listen, I get it. Doing morning shows not easy. I don't envy those guys who have to stay up and then try to get up the next day. At what point do you bail on a game? 29 points in the third quarter is a acceptable time to say, I'm kind of out on this. I have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning.
Listen, I think Pat was trying to do the right thing. I think he thought, I got to wake up at probably, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know what, I know some people who do morning shows. Generally about 3:30 is the wake up time. I don't envy that day.
I mean, I don't know how far
I've done morning shows, by the way. I
Yeah.
filled in on some morning shows before. It's not fun.
I mean, in a previous radio life, I was a producer for a morning show, and I used to get up at 4 o'clock every morning for that show. So, but I mean, even if it's 4 o'clock, right? I mean, you're talking about they got to be on the air by 6.
Mhm.
Like they got to be ready and prepared and everything. So, yeah, I don't blame Pat for saying, you know what,
Well,
29-point lead.
I would ask this question. There are times the way we do it in our house is, we're watching the game in the living room. You're on the couch in the living room. You're watching the game.
Right.
At a certain time, the eyes start to go a little bit.
Sure.
And it's not that you're ready to go to bed. It's just I need a different situation from sitting on the couch to now laying in the bed.
Mhm.
And that happens. It's getting earlier and earlier for me, for God's sakes. But about 10:15, 10:30, it's, hey, do you want to finish right at halftime last night is when I said, hey, do you want to go watch in the bedroom? Because my girlfriend's watched. She was actually more into it, I thought, than I was last night. I had the Phillies game on, and she said, hey, can you put the NBA Finals on? Because the Phillies were up 6-0. So I wasn't planning on starting the game on time, but I did flip it over, and San Antonio's up 12-2. Now they're up 29. I'm flipping back and forth watching the game. But we watched the second half. At halftime, we went to the bedroom, and we're watching the game in there, and slowly they're coming back. And she's not rooting for the Knicks. So, yeah, I don't feel that Costello was in the complete wrong here, because I know that my eyes at a certain time are starting to go. And at 29 points, I feel pretty confident that I can start the preparations.
Pat had the right intentions. It didn't end the way
If
he
he
thought.
was a fan of either team, that's different.
Very different.
If he's just a fan of the sport, okay. But if he was a fan of the Knicks, that's a bad job.
Right.
You can't go to bed on your own team. That's the difference. and he's got some observations with us right now on today's edition of Football at 4. Welcome back, Andrew. How are you?
Mike, what's happening? Great to be with you.
As always, man, and it was probably great to see the guys out on the field, right? Even if it was only for 2 days, you got a little taste of what the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles might look like.
Yeah, it certainly was. Mandatory minicamp, so you see everyone come together. You start to get a sense for how the pieces are going to fit into the equation. At least it gives you a clearer picture of what to expect as you advance towards training camp.
So, top observation on the offense. Was it noticeably some different concepts, noticeably some different stuff? Obviously, no A.J. Brown, but is your main takeaway is, this might look a lot different?
Yeah, it looks quite different. And as I always like to say, the Eagles are in the early stages of laying the foundation here with the offense. So when I explain to you, what I'm seeing, it's also important to take that into, take that context. But you are noticing a lot of under center looks from the quarterbacks, some tight splits, the motion, and the quarterbacks. While they're holding on to the football a little bit longer than you'd like on some instances, they are getting it out. They're working on the middle of the field throws. This is the time of year where you're really ironing out things. This gives coaches a chance to learn their personnel, the personnel to familiarize themselves with the coaches, the verbiage, all those things, so that when you do get to training camp, you're able to kind of go full steam ahead and there isn't that introductory phase or anything like that. And so I did notice a lot of that, a lot of multiple tight end usage. Now, Devontae Smith was excused for personal reasons on Wednesday. Mekhi Lemon was sidelined with the hamstring. Britton Covey also didn't practice, so that certainly contributed to it. And a lot of running backs in terms of being involved in the passing game. Saquon Barkley saw a flurry of targets come his way. Will Shipley was heavily involved on Wednesday. Tank Bigsby has been on the receiving end of some of those check downs, those angle route type of plays. And so I'm curious to see, Mike, if this becomes something that they look to carry over into the regular season, because it seems like it's a prevailing theme every year. We just haven't really seen it manifest in the regular season when the running backs are involved in the passing game.
We were talking about it yesterday with Moshe, Andrew, and I wanted to further that are the running backs in this offense going to have a bigger role in the passing game? And he kind of laughed and said, we talk about it every year and it never happens, but this is different, right? I mean, do you expect that those running backs will have a role swinging out of the backfield, little dump off, stuff that we really haven't seen a lot of?
Well, right now it's pretty much a passing camp in terms of just OTAs and spring practices, and even to a larger sense in training camp, we often see it as well, but it hasn't necessarily had the carryover. But when I look at this offense, Mike, where it's timing based and you have to get the ball out quickly, it's easy to see a vision from Sean Mannion where you want to have those built-in options for your quarterback to get the football out quickly, use your running backs as outlet options. Saquon Barkley can catch the football capably, so can Will Shipley. Tank Bigsby, that's not necessarily his calling card, but he's adept at doing so. So, yeah, I am curious to see if this trend continues as we get through, August and so forth.
Andrew DiCecco, Football 4, Inside the Birds podcast. All his mandatory minicamp coverage is up at InsideTheBirds.com. One of the things is the anticipatory throws from Jalen Hurts. I don't know how much of a feel you got for that over the last 2 days, but was that something that you saw a lot of, him going over the middle of the field?
Yeah, some end breakers and things like that. The ball there's been instances where the ball has come out of his hands quickly. They have those options, but the offense is just so incredibly new and such a drastic departure from anything that they've done in the past. So to expect an offense with so much newness at play here to be able to go toe-to-toe with a defense that's now going into their third season with Vic Fangio, and many of these players are now going into their third season of playing together, it's just not all that realistic. So the defense was cohesive and poised and fast-flowing and all those things you would expect to see, while the offense looks like an offense that's working through, the early stages of a revamp.
Over at ESPN.com, they were talking about different packaging groups, and they said one to watch was the Eagles' 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. Are you intrigued by the fact that they could use a lot of two tight ends? Because, Calcaterra's been here in the past. I know he's a good pass catcher. Johnny Munt's more of a blocker. And there's Eli Stowers, who Nick Sirianni talked about on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day he spoke, Wednesday maybe it was, that he talked, at length at him. You see this as a good 12 personnel grouping?
Yeah, I do. And if Sean Mannion and we're getting ahead of ourselves here, if he is to take anything away from Sean McVay, one of his prominent influences, Sean McVay used a lot of 13 personnel last season, but certainly when it comes to 12 personnel, I think the Eagles have done a really good job, Mike, of making a concerted effort to balance out the room, meaning they didn't sort of stockpile receiving-centric players. They've added blocking components to the mix, and you have someone like Eli Stowers who represents the future, and he is a dynamic, movable chess piece that they can use. Dallas Goedert, in theory, is a two-way player, but his blocking regressed last season, so that's something that I'll certainly be keeping an eye on. Then you have players like Cameron Latu, a tremendous blocker. Johnny Munt is a blocking specialist. So because there is that balance and you don't have to necessarily dictate things and all that, or I guess telegraph things, yeah, I could see a lot of 12 personnel this season. And Johnny Munt is going to, by all accounts, be that second tight end and lead the way because he offers something different than the other players.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Somebody asked me the other day if I thought that the ceiling of this defense was better than the ceiling of last year's defense. How would you kind of characterize that question?
I would say yes, because of the inclusion of cornerback Reek Woolen, who has made plays every practice that's been open to reporters. But to a larger point, to expand on this, what Reek Woolen represents, as long as he's able to take to the technical aspects of playing cornerback in a Vic Fangio defense and can remain assignment sound and hone in on those fundamentals, he affords Vic Fangio a lot more flexibility in terms of what he's able to do from a creativity standpoint, how he can deploy his personnel. Because if you have another corner on the other side, other side of Quinyon Mitchell, you don't necessarily have to atone for a player like an Adoree Jackson or Keely Ringo and provide safety help or be cognizant of when they're on the field not to put them in a position where they're going to be exploited. And when they are in base, you can feel comfortable that you can put Reek Woolen and Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, move Cooper DeJean at safety, and understand that it's gonna operate at high efficiency. So I think yes, it does have higher upside compared to last season because of that. And I also like the fit of Jonathan Grenard complementing what they already have there in Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith. Jonathan Grenard, I believe, will be a really good fit in this defense. He's a better pure pass rusher than Jalen Phillips. Now, I think Jalen Phillips offered other things like length and the ability to really defend the run and crash down. But Jonathan Grenard, to me, is a player that has a track record of success. Last season, he was plagued by a shoulder injury that limited him to 12 games. But prior to that, he had 2 seasons combined of 24 and a half. It was 23 and 24, where he had 24 and a half sacks over that span. So, I mean, it's not hard to see the fit or be intrigued. And so for those reasons, I think this defense is going to take it up a notch in 2026.
A couple of things happened yesterday. We'll talk to Andrew DiCecco about that here for Football 4. A.J. Epinesa, I mean, sorry, I thought he was in Cleveland. I didn't realize they didn't finish that deal. I liked him in the offseason. When I saw that happened yesterday, I said, whoa, how's he fit into this team and what's it mean big picture?
Well, he's going to have to battle to make the roster, but these are the type of back end of the roster signings that if you're Howie Roseman, you feel comfortable taking because of the potential upside that he can provide as a depth piece. Now, he's a different type of player than what they already have. 6 foot, 60 pounds of power. And you know, what he is able to do, and I know that you're going to see the sacks, and there's 24 sacks, 53 quarterback hits, and he's played 91 games starting 19. You're going to be overly intrigued by that naturally, I would imagine. And I think you have to look at his injury history and things like that. But I feel pretty good if I'm the Eagles, for him in contention for that 5th spot, so to speak, because of the experience he's coming in with and the uniqueness that he brings. He's also someone that, when you look at his skill set, maybe he could kick inside and give you some flexibility there as well. But he's going to have to battle to make the roster.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wondered if that meant Brandon Graham was out, or even Brandon Graham is a thought for them yet. But Epinesa, a nice guy to bring in for at least competition at this stage. And then Michael Jordan is a guy that can play hoops, but he can also play guard at the football level. This is a guy who started about 50 NFL games. I thought that was an interesting under the radar signing yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely was. So Michael Jordan is he was a 2019 fourth round pick of the Cincinnati Bengals out of Ohio State, and he actually participated in the Eagles rookie minicamp on a tryout basis. But to me, it always just made a lot of sense. You have a player with that kind of experience. You and I have talked quite a bit about, and I've talked about this on my DiCecco Daily podcast and written about it, that the Eagles are really light on experience in terms of the depth on the offensive line, apart from Fred Johnson. And they drafted Micah Morris in the 6th round out of Georgia. He kind of will be that Brett Toth replacement. But bringing in someone like Michael Jordan to play some guard, who has played a lot of games in this league, I think gives you a little bit of a safety net there. Again, he's another player that's going to have to perform in order to make the team. He won't make it on merit or anything like that. But it just makes a lot of sense for where the Eagles are. There's not a lot of thin spots on the roster, but reserve offensive linemen, I think you can certainly make a case for.
Yeah, and then another move that kind of went under the rug is Zadarius Smith. The Eagles kind of released him off the retired list. Does that mean that he plans on playing again this season?
Well, it gives him the optionality to do so, and it would take another team to look at him. He's a little bit older, and he mentioned when he got to Philadelphia that he was always going to play last season, that he still had an affinity for the game and all that. As long as that sort of, if he still has that same belief and mindset, I would imagine so. But it depends on what kind of shape he kept himself in and things of that nature. But I mean, as you saw last season when he did play for the Eagles in the few games that he did, he still has some juice.
Yeah, I was surprised because I'm thinking, hey, if he wants to play again, 33 years old, could he be that rotational piece that fits in nicely here? Or did something kind of go awry here that forced him to retire, then get released, and maybe sign elsewhere? Because wouldn't he be a guy that you would have interest in?
Well, they always say never say never, but the abruptness of the way that happened,
Right.
It was a little odd, and it could have been for a multitude of reasons. But he's not going to command the amount. Remember, this is the defense in Vic Fangio, who typically deploys or utilizes only 3 edge rushers in his rotation. So if you're Zadarius Smith and you want to play at 33 years old, you're likely going to want to undertake a more prominent role. And that's not going to happen in Philadelphia. They're already 3 deep, and you have Arnold Ebiketie, who they signed to a 2-year deal. They just signed AJ Epinesa. So to me, it just never felt like Philadelphia would be the next place that he resumes his career.
We'll get you out with this. Andrew Checker Football 4. Make sure you check out the Inside the Birds podcast and all Andrew's stuff over at InsideTheBirds.com. Just a couple guys that stood out to you in these OTAs that now you might pay closer attention to at training camp.
Yeah, great question. So I would say linebacker Chance Campbell. That's a player that the Eagles seem to like a little bit. He was on the practice squad all of last season, signed just a few days before the preseason finale, but he does have overlap in Tennessee with linebackers coach Bobby King. So the team was clearly familiar with what he can bring. He did have an ACL injury August of 2024, so maybe that had to do with his late arrival. But his pathway to the roster would be on special teams, and he would have to compel the Eagles to keep 5 linebackers. But I keep an eye on how players are deployed and what their alignment is. And at least in the spring, they've given him. He was working with the first unit and the punt group, and I think even in an earlier spring session with the first group on kickoff. So we'll see what happens. But I thought he also did some nice things as a linebacker playing with the second team opposite Smile Mondin Jr. And I guess another player, if you want somebody that's a little bit off the beaten path, it would be an offensive tackle by the name of John Ojukwu, who was signed as an undrafted free agent in 2023 by the Tennessee Titans out of Boise State. Played in, I believe, 16 games, started some of those games, maybe 9 of those games. But we go back to the inexperience of the offensive line aside from Fred Johnson. And maybe he's a player that if you feel comfortable with him when you cross train him, if you cross train him, that he gives you a little bit more seasoning when it comes to adding an experienced player there. He's gotten a lot of second team work at tackle, at both tackle spots, and he's also, I think, even repped at right guard as well. So obviously it's in the early stages, but it is something that I'm filing away for training camp.
Love it. Training camp last year was July 22nd, so I would imagine sometime in that range, the Birds will be back. We'll do our division previews. We'll look all around the NFL. We got a lot going on this summer for Football 4. Andrew DiCecco and the boys over at Inside the Birds got you covered. And, of course, we do here on Football 4. Andrew, always a pleasure, man.
Likewise, Mike. Take care.
I enjoy talking to Andrew each and every week here on Football 4 on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. And, of course, we have you till 6 o'clock tonight. And coming up, got Phillies Fastball a little bit later on. Nuggets on the way. And don't forget, each and every day, Football 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Big screens, big bets, game day hits different at Ocean Casino Resorts, Fanatic Sportsbook. Check out their entertainment lineup at theoceanac.com. That right, July 24th and July 25th. Joey Diaz, August 7th. And those tickets for Sebastian Maniscalco, September 17th through the 20th and the 24th through the 27th. Get them now. They are hot, hot, hot. All right, coming up, Nuggets on the way. Mystery last night. Where were you for it? Where were you? Did you turn the game off last night? Sure, Nuggets wants to get into that. He texted me this morning. I got a text nice and early this morning from Nuggets. Basically said this. This is the text I got from the Nuggets. He says, I woke up and realized I actually watched that happen last night. Me too. Me too. More sports bets coming up. 97.3 ESPN.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200.
At 426, Phillies have made a trade. Don't hit your brakes. Don't do anything crazy. Phillies made a trade. They've acquired outfielder Derek Hill from the White Sox, which probably means not good news on Adolis Garcia. Now, Derek Hill's kind of a platoon player, right-handed bat, hits lefties okay. He was a first-round pick. You know who made that pick? It was, I believe, Dave Dombrowski when he was with the Tigers. So Derek Hill, he's now a White Sox. He is coming to Philadelphia in exchange for Dylan Campbell and Jose Almenarez are going to the White Sox. The Phillies will also get international pool money in this deal, which is kind of undervalued now because the Phillies have not been a big player in the international game, but they'll get some extra dollars there. It's time for the Nuggets now. Nick Earnshaw is back with today's edition of Nick's Nuggets on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. And today, our Nuggets are brought to you by, how about this? Soccer Fest 2026 is coming to Camden on the waterfront, June 25th through the 27th, from noon to 10 every day. Across 3 days, you can watch on huge outdoor screens. South Jersey's Youth Soccer Associations are going to hold some sign-up there at Rutgers Camden Field. You can shop local at Made in Camden Village. Check out the International Food Market, award-winning wineries and breweries, and live music every day. It's a party, baby. It sounds like a Knicks party out there.
Oh,
Take
no.
the Patco over to the City Hall station or take Jersey Transit River Line. Get your tickets for free for this event at SoccerFest26.com. Nick Earnshaw is the producer of The Locker Room Weekends on 97.3 ESPN, and he hosts this edition of Nick's Nuggets.
What's going on, Mr. Mike Gill? How are you? You know, Mexico scored the first goal of the entire World Cup, and they're up 1-0 right now. I don't know if you knew that or saw that going on. You know, a lot of soccer happening around here. Some basketball, I guess, that was played last night. I don't know if you saw one of the greatest comebacks in the history of sports, and it belongs to the Knicks, and that makes me sick. I want to throw up. Nugget number one.
I stayed awake the whole time. I didn't bail at all. You know why? I could feel it coming. It just didn't feel right. And I knew it. I felt it. I could say, I can't flip off. I can't get off this game right now, you know, so I got to be transparent here. I was watching Phillies. Okay.
I had Phil's on the phone. I had Phil's on the phone.
Phillies. My girlfriend says, can we turn on the NBA Finals?
There you go.
Now, this was at about 8:50. All right. So I flipped it over. Spurs are up 12-2. Phillies are up 6-0. Flip back over to the Phillies during a timeout. Schwarbomb. I catch the Schwarbomb. Then I flip back over to the Knicks. Bang, bang, bang. Spurs are building the lead. I go back to the Phils at 7-4. Well, she wants to watch the hoops, and I'm like going back and forth here. I stuck with the basketball game. That game got to about right around halftime. I flipped over. Duran comes in the game. They win there. We took the action into the bedroom, baby. And that's where we watched the end of the game. And I said, can't fall asleep. I feel like this thing's going to fall apart for the Spurs.
Yeah. Well, it did. It absolutely did. I was on my high horse in that first half. I mean, they were dominant. They couldn't miss a shot. The Knicks couldn't have looked worse. They could have looked worse. The Spurs had control. Then they come out at halftime, and they continue to shoot threes. And I get the feeling, I'm like, oh, no. Nope. You cannot let the New York Knicks hang around. You just can't do it. And it was just stupid basketball. This could change the league the way they played last night. I mean, with the run and gun threes, all that. I mean, this could be a wake-up call for the rest of the league. I mean, this was just idiotic throughout the entire fourth quarter. They had a 99.6% chance to win, according to ESPN Analytics. A 99.6% chance to win in the fourth quarter. All they had to do was survive 21 minutes and 40 seconds of game time. That's all they had to do in the second half to win the ball game. They had a 29-point lead in the third quarter, 29 in the fourth. Game 1, they blew a 14-point lead. Game 2, they blew a 12-point lead. Game 4, they blow a 29-point lead. Just coming down the stretch, Wembanyama was so frustrating. I mean, I felt like I was watching Sixers basketball. And the fact that they continue to have possession after possession with double digits on the shot clock, chucking up threes, not killing time. I don't know what Mitch Johnson was thinking. He waited to call timeouts. He let the Knicks come back and get in a groove and have momentum on their side. He never called the timeout quick enough. And the fact De'Aaron Fox, and then just the icing on the cake after Josh Hart misses a layup. I mean, that would have been remembered as one of the worst moments in the history of basketball. Instead, you get De'Aaron Fox, boneheaded move where he could have just ran the clock out, gotten fouled, got to the free throw line. There would have been only a couple seconds left in the game. Instead, he gets blocked by OG Anunoby, which could have been a foul, but I'll leave it there. Could have been a foul. He got him on the arm. I'm just saying he did. But the fact he went up for the layup and missed, and then allows that whole thing to transpire, the OG Anunoby tip in, and then that is it. And then Cat on the inbounds on the final play tips the ball anyway. I mean, it was just poor. That is one of the worst comebacks from the Spurs perspective, from an opposing team perspective that I have ever witnessed. And we've seen some doozies. I mean, we've seen some doozies with the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, the collapse against the Atlanta Hawks, they were down 26 in that one. The New York Knicks series, they were down 20. I've seen some collapses, especially in this town. We've seen them. That is an all-time loss by the San Antonio Spurs. All time.
Worst loss in the history. You could make a case that we witnessed last night, the worst loss in the history of the NBA. Right there. Because you've essentially blew the biggest lead in the history of the NBA Finals, cost yourself the series, all in the same moment. It's the worst loss potentially we ever have seen in the entire history of the game. And you're right. 11 seconds left. Fox gets that steal. All he has to do is, and by the way, Fox is one of the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah.
All he has to do is run circles and get fouled. He gets to the line. They have a 1-point lead there. So you would have to make at least one free throw. He makes 2 free throws. The worst that could happen is they get tied up and go to overtime. But we already saw what happened. You had Brunson miss the long 3 and OG tips it in. You lose the game by 1. You had to make a 3 there if he makes both free throws. But if he's dribbling around in circles and they foul him, he makes 2 threes. The worst that happens is they go to overtime.
It's just sickening because they're a great team. The Spurs are a very good team. However, they're very young. And I understand they're very young and they're inexperienced and, they got to the finals, etc. They have a lot of young players. I understand that. But that's simple stuff in the second half that they just did not do. They didn't run down the clock. They missed free throws. They made boneheaded mistakes. De'Aaron Fox going up for the layup. I mean that was just boneheaded stuff. Situational awareness, just basketball 101 type of stuff. Hold a lead, 29 points. I mean, and you're in the NBA. You got to hold a lead like that in the NBA Finals. You're Mitch Johnson. You got to tell your guys, let's not have quick possessions here and continue to take threes. Let's get to the basket. Let's take some time. Let's move the ball around. Take some time off the clock. You don't need to chug up threes really quick because then they're just going to get possessions back and back and back. And that's what happened with the New York Knicks yesterday. That's what happened. And then Wembanyama, he was just terrible. He couldn't make a shot. He missed the free throws. I mean, there were so many just boneheaded mistakes, simple basketball plays that they did not make. It's amazing. It's amazing. This could be a totally different series if they didn't make boneheaded moves in every single loss that they've had.
Realistically, they could have won this series by now.
I know.
They could have swept this series, but I'm not a big blame the coach guy. Players play, and they missed a lot of wide open looks. But I would say they had a lead. You could feel the lead shrinking.
Yep.
And I thought they rushed a lot of panic shots, and that's where I think the coach does play a role to say, guys, listen, we got to run some clock here. We have a 22-point lead. We have a 17-point lead. We have a 15-point lead. Stop jacking up threes. That's where, and it felt to me that he was almost afraid to call timeout because I don't know that he knew what to say, right? He had this look on his face I probably should call timeout, but I don't even really know what to tell these guys right now. Like, it looked like the moment was too big for him. And listen, this is one of the problems. Like, their top 3 or 4 players are all in their early, not even mid-20s. They're all in their early 20s. You got Wemby, you got Harper, you've got Castle, you got Vassell. I mean, those guys are like 25 and under. I mean, Fox, who's been in the league for a while, even De'Aaron Fox is a young guy.
Yeah. Mitch Johnson's not even 40 years old as the coach. He looks scared to death on the sideline. Scared to death.
Johnson looked like, I know I need to call timeout, but I don't even know what to say. Like, it almost felt like, I don't know what to tell these guys. Like, he looked scared. Like, it was just, and we'll see how they rebound back at home and see if they can kind of – I think the early portion of that game is going to be very interesting because if they get up again and then you have that pressure of the Knicks coming back again on you, woo.
Because the Knicks have been awful in the first quarter. They have gotten off to some bad starts, but that doesn't matter. As long as you finish well, you hit your big shots down the stretch, you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. And that's what the Knicks have done the entire series. They have struggled mightily. The Spurs have gotten off the quick starts, fast starts, especially on the road. You win the first game all at Madison Square Garden, then you get up 29 yesterday, and you can't figure out a way to win. You can't do it. You can't save me from going to that damn parade with those awful fans. Are you kidding me?
What are we looking at for this parade?
Oh, God. I'm going to have to wear all this orange and blue. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. I mean, it is over. You can't come back from that. That might affect the Spurs going forward. Not even just in the next game, in Game 5 in San Antonio. You hope you could just get one back at some point, but that might affect them going forward. I mean, that is an all-time loss. In the postseason, I mean, Golden State, they blew a 31-point lead. I believe it was in 2019 against the Clippers. That game, they blew a 31-point lead. But that was a postseason game. That was not an NBA Finals game. It was not an NBA Finals game. And I know we've seen it one time, 3 down, 3-1. This team don't have it. They don't have that clutch gene down the stretch. They are just not there yet. They're too young, inexperienced. And I'm going to have to go to a damn parade because they couldn't figure out how to make a layup. And De'Aaron Fox just choked away a massive opportunity in the end. It's just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I can't believe I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to take pictures of this. I'm going to have to document and vlog the whole thing, Mike. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Hey, listen. I
got to stop making bets. That's what I got to do. I got to stop making bets with people. I keep losing every single one. I mean, we're on like a 2-year streak where I just have lost bets. I mean, I cost Billy. I had to make Billy in the whole locker room a couple years ago when the Phillies lost to the Mets. We had to sing the Mets song on the air. I mean, I got to stop doing this. I get too big for my britches over here, all right?
Yeah, Spurs let you down last night, so I would think the Spurs are not in your good graces.
No, not at all. Not one bit. I was becoming a Wemby fan, not so more. I was thinking about maybe I'll get that guy's jersey because he seems like a big piece of the league going forward. You got to have some of the greats. I'm out. I'll never get it. Never get it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, he missed 2 big free throws.
I know. I know. Yeah, not good. All right, let's move along. Nugget number 2. Let's talk about the Phils and the Adolis situation. I did just see that they did make the trade, acquiring Derek Hill. Giving up a couple of prospects. They also got some international bonus money in that trade as well. So that's a good side. It doesn't do much for me. The Hill trade does not do anything. It's just getting another body in there. It means they don't trust their AAA guys coming up, Reyes of the world, et cetera, et cetera. They don't trust those guys. Adolis Garcia seems like it's not going to be good from the shoulder injury that happened last night on the sacrifice fly. Yeah, not good. I mean, listen, this is what happens when you find older guys, a little cheap on the cheaper side, who you're hoping and banking on. Maybe they could show a little bit of what they did a few years back. And this is the way they've gone over the past couple of years. And it's burned the Phillies almost every single time, Mike.
Yeah, the next guy they signed for 1 year, $10 million will be the first one that works out for them. These things have not worked out. Yeah, this trade would tell me that the news on Adolis Garcia is probably not going to be good news. And the fact that last night Mattingly said, yeah, these guys know, and he knew, like, he pulled himself out of that game. He had to have known that something didn't feel right, and it was on a throw. So that kind of tells you he felt something there that probably, he was very concerned about. And the fact that they made this trade on a day they don't play to get somebody in here with major league experience probably indicates that Garcia will be out for a little while here, if not longer.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the outfield now. I mean, you got Marsh. I mean, against right-handed pitching, Marsh in left, Crawford in center. I mean, who goes in right? I mean, do you just play Hill every day? I mean, I don't know if you can play him every day. Do you go with Rincones?
Well, here's two things.
Could you bring up Rincones? I don't know.
That would be two things, right? Hill, who hits lefties better than he does righties, but he's not a defensive player that Garcia is. So I think you're more inclined to now platoon somebody with him, and that could be Gabriel Rincones, and you give those two guys, from now until the trade deadline to see if they can get this thing to go together here. And then who knows? I don't know how long Garcia's out. Maybe he does come back, and then you have a decision to make. But Derek Hill, he's a guy who can hit lefties a little bit. This year against lefties, he's been, and by the way, Gabriel Rincones is not in the Iron Pigs lineup tonight.
Well.
So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, what else do you do? You keep Crawford in center. I mean, do you play Hill maybe in center at times? Because he's played all three outfield positions, I believe, so far this year, but mainly in right.
I think he plays right field, and possibly Gabriel Rincones comes up, and I don't know who would be the guy. Maybe see, this is where it's tricky. They've been carrying the three catchers.
Yep.
You got to make a decision on this. You can't keep carrying three catchers.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to go. And I would imagine Rincones comes up and splits the time in the outfield with Hill. Now, Hill, you're right, has been a center fielder by trade, but he's played right field, particularly this season with the White Sox. But he has played, half and half. He's played 13 games this year in center, 13 games in left, and 22 games in right field. So he's played all three outfield positions. So it at least gives you a guy that has some outfield experience, and I would imagine Stuart Baroja is a guy that possibly could be on the way out.
Yeah, I don't know how much they love Baroja, right? And I'm just spitballing here. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, what other options do you have? Do you go back to the Sosa experiment? Remember that from last year? Do you go try that again? Try and get his bat in the lineup? I mean,
Sosa's been playing outfield, a little bit here anyway. So, but no, I don't think so. I think Derek Hill becomes your right fielder, and you either play him every day out there, like you were playing Garcia out there every single day with no production. So either Hill plays out there every single day, or what I would think is Gabriel Rincones comes up, Stuart Baroja goes back, and Rincones becomes the left-handed bat in right field. Hill becomes the right-handed bat in right field. Marsh plays left, and then Crawford plays right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's batting .213 on the year. Hill is 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 7 stolen bases. I mean, wasn't he? I think he was a first-round draft pick as well, from what I've seen. So,
first-round pick of the Tigers. I think Dombrowski drafted him back in 2014.
Do you even? I mean, I know he's struggled, but do you even think about bringing Otto Kemp back up? I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, they are so thin in the outfield at this point.
What they could do is bring Otto. See, this is what we were talking about before. I thought they would bring Felix Reyes up and just play him in right field and say, hey, listen, you're going to play every single day, because he has been the hottest hitter at AAA. And just say, hey, see if that happens up here. Now that you're playing every single day, you don't have to worry about platooning. You're the guy in right field. And then you play Marsh in left field, Crawford in center field, and there's no platoon. They just play every single day. Or you move Marsh to right field and you bring Kemp up and say to Kemp, you're going to play every single day. You don't have to worry about righty, lefty. You're playing every single day, and see if you can find a bat in the system before you have to go out and make a trade. But they went out and made a trade ahead of time. So that tells you they don't have a lot of faith in the guys that they have in their current system.
Yeah, and listen, we've also heard the rumors that they are interested in a right-handed bat. You and I have talked about the Tarek Skubal.
I hadn't heard they needed a right-handed bat.
Well, yeah. I mean, we haven't heard that in how many years? I just don't know if they have enough to trade to go get a right-handed bat. Like, if they're going to go get a right-handed bat, I mean, you're probably going to have to get a big-time right-handed bat and make a big splash to get a right-handed bat, because there's none of those run-of-the-mill, decent guys you can play every day. He's not an all-star level type player, but he's good. He can get a base hit, come up in a big moment. There's not really that guy out there. And you're not going to go get a Mike Trout. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. He's going to cost way too much, and there's too much injury concern and history with Mike Trout in that situation. It just, you look at this on paper and you're like, that is not an outfield that looks like a World Series level type of outfield. It just is not. And ever since Bryce moved to first base, they have had this issue over and over and over again.
Well, I brought up the possibility. I said, what if you put Bryce Harper back in the outfield, move Bohm to first, and Kemp plays third, and that gets Kemp at a spot that he feels more comfortable at, and maybe you do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I've talked about the Bryce Harper thing moving back to the outfield plenty of times. I mean, it would solve some more issues for you, and you probably have a better opportunity to go out on the market and find a better infielder than an outfielder at this point. I think moving Bryce to the outfield would open up a lot more things for this roster and more opportunities to go get guys on the open market, because Bryce, he's a great first baseman. Has been awesome. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen, him coming from the outfield, coming off the injury, going to first base. It's been very impressive. However, he can play the outfield, and it does not help this team if he's not in the outfield. He can be okay, like in the outfield. I don't think his career is going to be shortened if he plays a season in the outfield before they figure things out. They went to a World Series with Kyle Schwarber, who's an awful outfielder. They went to a World Series with him in left field. So moving Bryce back out there, I think could help them this season at some point. I think it would make sense.
I don't know that the Bryce Harper to outfield thing is something that they're ever going to think about.
I don't think it's going to happen,
No.
but like in theory, I think it's not a bad idea. I mean,
if it's not a bad idea if you get a definitive upgrade. Like yesterday, we had talked about Christian Walker. If you were able to get him and play first base, he's a right-handed bat who could hit fourth in your lineup. Okay, at that point, do you say, Bryce, you're going to go back to right field? Anything outside of that, like moving Alec Bohm to first base for Otto Kemp, I'm not moving him back. Like we were just saying, hey, if you want to try to get Kemp more comfortable, because he's not a good outfielder, that's the problem.
No, he's just not a good outfielder. If you want him more comfortable, you put him in the infield. I mean, he's still not even hitting in AAA. I mean, that's another issue as well. So, I mean, that is kind of where you're at. And I think it was Matt Gale that put out an article. The Phillies are on an 88 win pace. That would be seventh best in the major leagues. They're still a good team. Are they a great team? I don't know. That's where if they made a big move at the deadline, a Scooble went all in on pitching, or if you went out and got an actual big time bat, then that could maybe put you over the top and beat the Dodgers.
Yep. And again, I know I said this last week. They're a good club. Dave Dombrowski's not wrong. They are a good club. They're just not a great club right now. They're a good club.
Yep, that's it. All right, final nugget before I get out of here.
Nice.
I'll get a final one here. I just want to get your thoughts. Do the Spurs have any chance of winning on Saturday? I mean, do they have any chance? Any chance at all? Is it over? I mean, I think it might. I think it's over. I think it's done with. I think I'm gonna have to find a sick day. Not a real sick day next week, because I'm gonna have to be at this dang thing. The Spurs have any chance? I think they maybe a little bit slim. Depends how they come out.
I don't think so. I think this thing is done. I think this thing is over and done with. And it's unfortunate because really the Spurs have been the better team for almost, you've got 4 games. And I think they've been the better team in almost 3 of the 4 games definitively they should have won. But no, I don't see them winning 3 games in a row. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either.
You know why? Because the Knicks now have a closer. Brunson has grown up to a new level. He was on this level. He's now put himself on that next level. Next year, Brunson will enter the season as an MVP candidate.
Yep. Maxi's got a long way to go. That's all I got to say. He's got a long way to go. There you go, Mike. A little 2.5 pack for you.
You watch any of the hockey last night? I mean, you're going to watch any of the hockey tonight, I should say?
I'll probably watch the hockey tonight a little bit. I'll probably watch the
Phils
hockey
tonight. You got no Phils tonight. We got open night on the Phils.
I might cry a little bit. Might cry myself to sleep.
By the way, I got a text from the Schwein today.
Wow. How about that?
He said that he bought a new pair of sneakers and that I would be thrilled that they weren't the white New Balances with the blue ends.
They weren't the old man 4s, huh?
No. So he sends me a picture and he's all happy. They're gray. But then he said, I bought another pair and it's a pair of Skechers. It's a white Sketcher with a blue S.
They're the old man fives. He got the old man fives, went from the fours to the five.
Retired the blue ends and went to the blue S.
Just switch brands. He switched brands. He got the same shoe. It's the same shoe. Switch brands. That's all he did.
Exactly what it is.
All right. There you go.
There you go. All right. That's a nugget for you right there.
That's a big one. Yeah. There you go. See ya.
See ya. All right, Earnshaw. There you go. There's the nuggets for today on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And, of course, you can watch the show live on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Hey, well, let me tell you about my guy Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City. You know, it's only June 11th, which means you still have time because now through June 30th, get into a new Acura this month, and my guy Rocco will take care of your first lease payment on either a 2026 Integra, that's up to $450 that first month, or a 2026 MDX up to $1,000. So whatever your payment is, he will pay it the first month. Yep, receive a complimentary first month lease payment on either of those vehicles. So if you're driving around and you've been thinking about a 2026 Integra or an MDX, my guy Rocco's got it for you at Key Acura, Tilton Road in EHC. Visit KeyAcuraofAtlanticCity.com to see the inventory. Key Acura is the small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details. You know, this time of the year, you want to make sure you have a good, sturdy car because it's hot out there. Whoo, baby, it's hot outside. All right, Phillies fastball at 5:30 tonight. The guys will break down the trade, and our own Jeff Kerr is in, I believe, Reading tonight to see Gage Wood pitch if they can get that in. It is hot, and apparently there's some weather in the forecast out there, but he is at Reading to watch Gage Wood. But we'll talk about the trade and what it means and all that coming up next right here on the Sports Bash. 5 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. This hour of the show is brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions. Their next fight's coming to Tropicana, Atlantic City at the showroom this Saturday night. We've got tickets, and we're going to give them away this hour on the show. So if you want to go see the boxing Saturday night at the Trop, listen this hour for your chance to score those tickets right here on the Sports Bash. Phil's made a trade, and I guess it's a telling trade. Let's get into it a little bit, and the boys will be joining us for Phillies Fastball at the bottom of the hour. You've got last night in the game, Adolis Garcia gets hurt. He had to lead the game last night, and now out of the fallout from that, it looks like he might miss some time. Now, they have not announced whether he's missing some time or not. There has been no updates yet that I have seen anyway that have said he's missing some time. However, the Phillies did announce that they have made a trade, and they have brought a veteran right-handed bat outfielder in, and I would imagine that he will be here for at least the time being to start in right field while Adolis Garcia is out. Now, Jeff Kerr from Phillies Fastball tweeted about a half an hour ago. He said, the belief is Derek Hill is more of a platoon bat against left-handed pitching, which, listen, that could still be the case, that they got him to play left field so that when Marsh plays center, now keep this in mind, Hill's also played center field. So he might be a better center fielder than Marsh. Maybe he's a better hitter than Stuart Baroja. So it gives them some flexibility with a guy who's been a major leaguer. And against left-handed pitching, he is not too bad. I mean, he can hit the ball against lefties. He's not a great hitter against right-handed pitching. But the belief is that he would be more than, versatile than maybe Stuart Baroja is in terms of he can hit as well. So I definitely think that this is a sign of two things. One, Garcia might be hurt for at least a little while. And two, they wanted to add, now Zielecki just tweeted out that he can confirm the trade and that Adolis Garcia injured his right shoulder yesterday, but no word yet on imaging schedule for today. But the Phillies outfield depth is incredibly thin, and thus the deal. So that kind of goes to the point is they didn't look at Stuart Baroja as a guy that they thought was a big part of the outfield mix here. Like, yeah, he could go out there. Because here's the problem. It appears that they already have given up on Justin Crawford, at least for this year, to hit against left-handed pitching. Now, Marsh has been playing center against left-handed pitching. Now you can keep Marsh in left field, and Hill can play center field. The question is who plays right field in that kind of situation. So, I don't know. I definitely think there's another domino to fall because of this, right? We all think that that's probably the first domino. What are some questions that immediately come to your mind, Josh, when you see this trade happening? Because I definitely think there's a lot of layers to this.
Well, I think the first one you already mentioned is what's going on with Garcia's shoulder. I've seen a lot of speculation, but no reporting yet online. You got your online doctor. They like to jump in the feed, right? It looks like a lot strained. It looks like he might have, strained the front of his shoulder, the back of his shoulder. Look, whatever the injury is, I don't think that you're making this trade if Garcia was 100% no matter what, right? I think it's fair to at least assume that, right, Mike?
I think we know that Garcia is probably going to miss some time.
Right. Whether it's the weekend or a full injured list stint. My second question is, we just saw the White Sox in town, right? Do you think that the conversations started then? Because remember, that's what happened with the Twins last year. Remember the Phillies played the Twins and Dombrowski and the Twins GM kept talking. So do you think that when the White Sox were in town recently, the Phillies, Dombrowski and whoever I don't know the White Sox GM off the top of my head, but they kind of kept having dialogue, let's say.
Well, I think these guys are always keeping dialogue. I think we all know that the Phillies and many teams need a right-handed bat. So I'm sure the calls are going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth of, hey, you ready to deal yet? Hey, you ready to deal yet? Now, the White Sox being the trade piece here, I thought was a little interesting because the White Sox, who have been wretched the last couple of years, Now they've been a little bit better this year. I don't know that they think they're a contender,
Right.
but they are in first place.
They are way beyond anyone's expectations this year.
They're beyond expectations, and they're in first place, and they just traded a guy who was playing for them. You know, it's not like a guy who was organizational depth for this team. He was a guy that, you know, the White Sox were just here, and I remember seeing him play. In fact, he was in the lineup in
was it
their
Saturdays?
Their last game on
Sunday's game?
Wednesday. No, I'm talking about yesterday.
Oh, I'm talking about when they played the Phillies. I thought he played in the series against the Phillies.
No, he did. I'm saying, but he just played yesterday.
Oh, okay, gotcha. My bad.
So he is a guy who played left field for them yesterday. So he was an everyday, pretty much a regular for that team. I would imagine here that Derek Hill, they play tonight. So tonight, yesterday, let's see. I'm assuming he played on Tuesday as well. They were off on Monday. He came in and played center field. So he came into the game as a pinch runner, and then he played center field. So it shows you, one, he can run, which we kind of knew. He does hit with some power against left-handed pitching.
Much better against left-handed than right-handed.
Now, against the Phillies, he was here for the 3-game series against the Phillies. And I do remember seeing him come up to bat at one point. When was that? Probably on he came in as a pinch hitter, went 0 for 2 and struck out twice in that game. Not ideal. But yeah, he was a guy that tells me that they think that Garcia is going to miss some time. Now, even if he doesn't miss time, a lot of time, I think they said they needed an upgrade over Baroja. And he could play all 3 outfield positions, which is something, by the way, he went 1 for 7 against the Phillies. He hit the home run. That's where I saw him. He hit the home run against Luzardo.
Right.
That's what I remember.
By the way, really quick, for those who are wondering, so this year he's only hitting 245 against lefties, but he's hitting 148 against righties. It's a 100-point difference.
Yeah, but he's hitting 245 against lefties, but he does have, I think, most of his home runs.
All of his home runs.
Okay, I was going to say, most, if not all his home runs have come against lefties. So,
by the
way, 245. We talked about that, right about that number a couple of weeks ago. We said if Garcia could just get himself to 230, this guy's hitting 245. Now, I don't anticipate that they traded for him to be the right-handed bat to play every day. That's not what I think this is. What I think this is he's hurt. We need someone for the short term. If he comes back, we also need someone to play with left field or center field other than Stuart Baroja.
Right. And I think that was where kind of my next question from this is, and by the way, the 4 home runs are in 33 games this year. So kind of gives you an idea that, this is a guy who is, had some serious success against left-handed pitching this year in terms of the power numbers. My next question is, how much of Derek Hill being here is a stopgap until the deadline? Is part of this deal, hey, no matter what's going on with Garcia, this kind of gets us through the next several weeks until we can get a full assessment heading into the deadline?
I think it's more that. I mean, this is a guy who's a 213 career hitter, very good speed. The guy can run, as we saw. He pinch ran in there, has a little bit of power, plays all 3 outfield positions. Now, again, like you said, he was a first-round pick. Dave Dombrowski drafted him in Detroit back in 2014. And listen, all these teams always feel like, hey, you bring the first-round pick and you let us get our hands on him. I know people don't like Kevin Long and think, what is this guy doing? But there's talent in this guy. Maybe Kevin Long can work with him and get a little bit more out of him. Now, hasn't worked with Adolis Garcia.
No, but you could say it has worked with Brandon Marsh, because Brandon Marsh pretty much almost every year has gotten better since they acquired him. He was a guy with the Angels who was, I don't want to say a failed prospect, but he was a guy who had not lived up to expectation. And when the Phillies acquired him, they said, we see untapped potential in this guy. And it's fair to say that Kevin Long has done a very good job with him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always say all the time, you can't teach everybody to hit the same way. So if you're a hitting person and you've got all of these guys coming to you for lessons, it's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
You can't have 50 guys coming to you for lessons and all 50 of them can hit the way that you're teaching hitting.
Correct.
So You got a team of 26 guys, not all of them are hitters, but half of the team are hitters. Not everybody can hit the way that Kevin Long's teaching hitting. So it's not working. It's not going to work for everybody. But you know who it works for? Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Brandon Marsh right now. Those guys are taking to whatever Kevin Long. And by the way, they're the best players on your team. They're the ones you need it to work for.
Right.
Now, you would like to see Bohm has come around here in the month of May and June. We gave you his splits for May and June earlier in the show as opposed to March and April. He's been significantly better. You would like to see that Bryson Stott has started to take off. That didn't happen. However, Bryson Stott did take off. I want to say take off's not the right word, but he was better in August and September of last year, better than he was in the first month. The problem is these guys haven't been what you want them to be in October.
Right, exactly. It's all well and good that it's hitting season right now, but when the weather gets cold, what happens then?
So am I excited about they traded for Derek Hill? No, not exceptionally excited. However, I do think it adds some more depth to the major league roster.
Yes.
He's better than Stuart Baroja. It's better than the option of Johan Rojas, who's no longer eligible and is out for the year, but he's better than Rojas. He's better than Baroja. He's a better outfield option than playing Edmundo Sosa out there or Otto Kemp. Those guys aren't real outfielders. This guy is a left fielder, a center fielder, and a right fielder. He's hit a little bit at the major league level, specifically against left-handed pitching, where the Phillies have really struggled. And for the short term, I would imagine that he will play every single day. I don't know that to be 100% true. Jeff Kerr said the belief is that Derek Hill is more of a platoon bat if Garcia's out. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel Rincona's got a shot. Rincona's against right-handed pitching, and Hill would be against left-handed pitching, and that would be your right field platoon for the time being. And then I don't know what happens if Garcia comes back. It doesn't mean that Garcia definitively is coming back.
And the other point is you mentioned about Mike, how, what do we take away from the trade? I think we take away from the trade that the Phillies are, maybe they won't verbally say certain things, right? With Dave Dombrowski, he's been criticized by people like myself for some of the things he says in these media gatherings. But this is a move where the Phillies are saying, hey, our roster needs more. We need a better roster. Don Mattingly has mentioned at times, part of the reason why Baroja is here is because he is a quote unquote real outfielder, right? Well, I think because
they've been using Baroja in the outfield over Crawford.
Right.
Crawford is the one that I'm a little disappointed by the fact that they have given up on Crawford as a everyday player. They didn't give him a shot at all.
Yeah, it is a little deflating because that was a guy that you had a lot of excitement for, we'll call it, coming into the season, right?
Well, and his numbers at the AAA level suggested that he could hit both lefties and righties. And the sample size for him against lefties has been just insignificant. They just never gave him a shot against lefties. I mean, so far this year against lefties, he only has 28 at-bats. So in 28 at-bats, you have already surmised that Justin Crawford can't hit lefties. Now, listen, 143 is not good, but 28 at-bats is nothing.
Nothing.
So if you go look at his minor league numbers against lefties, he hit better against lefties than he did righties at AAA. Again, you take those numbers with a grain of salt at AAA, but you would say, hey, listen, the sample size at AAA suggests I'm going to let you get more than 28 at-bats. They have already decided that he can't hit left-handed pitching. Now, you would say, well, why would I think he can hit left-handed pitching when he's not hitting right-handed pitching? Well, that's a fair question, but don't you, if you're the Phillies, don't you hope that Justin Crawford is an everyday player and not a platoon player?
Absolutely.
100%.
I don't think there's any question about that, which brings us back to the Derek Hill conversation. I think that this acquisition is I don't want to call it a concession, but maybe it is a concession. Maybe that's the right word.
Concession of what?
That, hey, the roster as currently constructed needs more depth. We had to go out and get some legitimate depth.
I don't think they need to put a hand on the Bible for that one. I think they can certainly.
No, but I think for the fans, they get annoyed. I got texts for days from people complaining. When's this team going to fix the depth on this team? Dombrowski keeps telling me it's a good ball club. I'm tired of Dombrowski telling me
you
it's
got
a
to
good
keep
club.
in mind the trade deadline is not until August.
The end of July, yeah.
I think it's August 4th.
Is it 4th? They move it again?
I think so. I think it's either the 4th or the 1st or the 3rd, somewhere in there. So I get everybody saying we're watching this team and we know it, but a lot of these teams they're not willing to bail yet on the season. So, like, if you're one of those people that are texting Josh and saying, what are they going to do? Rah, rah, who's out of this yet? Who do you want the Phillies? Now, the White Sox are in first place and they just traded. That's a little bit surprising.
It's also surprising that Phillies got international money out of it. How weird is that?
So right now, to your buddies who were texting you, okay? Boston is 13.5 out of the East. But
I appreciate them calling them buddies and not idiots. I appreciate that.
There's a lot of overzealous people out there. I get it. The worst team in the American League is only 7 out of the wild card. That's the Angels. Okay, so if you're 7 out right now, do you feel like I got to start dismantling, or do you say, hey, we can hang around this thing? Where would you be? If you're L.A., Boston's 5.5 out. Kansas City's 5.5 out. Now, Kansas City and Detroit, Boston and Houston, and Minnesota. Minnesota's 3.5, Houston's 3.5,
yeah.
Detroit's 5, Kansas City's 5.5, and Boston's 5.5. Those 5 teams have all been in the playoffs within the last year or two.
Right.
Do you think they're going to bail on the season?
I don't think so.
No. Minnesota's 3.5 out. They went to the playoffs last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Do you think they're ready to bail on the season? 3.5 out?
I don't think so.
So why are they all that excited about trading Byron Buxton when they're 3.5 games out of the wild card? Baltimore, who's been criticized and up and down, they're 2 out. And we know that team won 100 games 2 years ago with a lot of the same guys. So I can't imagine them. Toronto is 1 game out. They went to the World Series last year. Are they going to start trading guys? Of course not. Sacramento, the A's, that's been a team that for years you're like, you got to get people from them. You got to go get Mason Miller. They're a half a game out of the wild card. You think they're ready to start breaking it down? Of course not.
Nope.
So then you go to the National League. Colorado's 9.5 out. I would think that Colorado's willing to deal. I don't think they see themselves as a playoff team. San Francisco's 8 out. Okay, you could probably call San Francisco, but we talked about this 2 weeks ago. What are you going to go call and say, I'll take Harrison Bader back? That's really the right-handed outfielder that they have to offer you.
Derek Hill is actually hitting better than Harrison Bader.
Bader's hitting 170. He's been atrocious. The other team is the Mets. They're 5.5 out. So who are you calling the Mets to say, I'll take so-and-so from you? And I can't imagine the Mets are going to be all that excited about helping you out. The Reds are 3 back. The Marlins are 2 out. Arizona's a 1.5 out. Chicago's a 1.5 out. Washington's 1. So I get it. Yeah, everybody wants to make this deal, but I can imagine there's probably only 3 teams right now that are really willing to listen.
By the way, the deadline is, as you mentioned, it's August 3rd. It's a Monday.
Yeah, when I looked at the calendar and I saw a Tuesday, I thought that was probably the wrong day, but I knew it was after July 31st.
So for just a little context, though, that means how many teams go into that weekend before the deadline? Decision weekend,
but that's
right?
to go to what your text messages buddies are saying. It's June 11th. I mean, it's almost 2 months away to the deadline. I just told you the standings. Why is anybody saying, hey, call us, we're ready to deal? They all think they're in it. Now I'm a little surprised at the White Sox, unless, listen, I don't know the White Sox system upside down and inside out, but maybe the White Sox felt that they have someone in the minor leagues that this guy was kind of blocking and taking some playing time for, and that they were ready to promote.
The White Sox do have a good system.
They have a good system. That's what I'm saying. But, you're looking for a right-handed outfielder to play. I don't know what the White Sox have done. Now I can probably, take a look at what they're doing to replace him on the roster. They have a game today, the White Sox. They play Atlanta. So, by the way, Derek Hill is on the White Sox all-star ballot right now. I'm saying you can vote on their Twitter account. So their starting lineup tonight. Now, he doesn't start every single day, but, they might have said, hey, look, and we like some of these guys. We want to give them some more playing time. And he was expendable to us. So let's see, they did post on their website or their Twitter handle. They acquired minor league outfielder Dylan Campbell and right-handed infielder Jose Colmenares from the Phillies in exchange for outfielder Derek Hill and $250,000 international pool money. They returned outfielder Everson Pereira from his injury rehab to AAA. All right, so they haven't really said whether or not they're going to call up somebody to replace him, but, they might have that in their mind already.
I mean, it looks like Pereira is taking Hill's spot on the roster, if I'm reading this correctly.
Okay.
So maybe that was the idea. Maybe they're like, look, we got this outfielder Pereira. We like him. He's coming back from the injured list. How do we create an open roster spot? Let's trade Derek Hill, get a couple prospects.
Well, he's playing center field today and hitting fifth. Right.
Pereira.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it answers it.
Mm-hmm.
They literally traded Hill because they got to get Pereira back in the lineup.
So that's a rare situation where a team in first place decided to make a trade with a player that plays for them a lot.
When you get Jeff Kerr comes on next, my question I would like to ask Kerr would be, what is his take on the international money part of this trade?
Oh, I definitely think that's something because in Philadelphia, we're not so used to them doing anything with the international pool money.
Because the last time they used the international pool money, I thought they got Renneria.
Right. And now all of a sudden that international pool money is becoming a much bigger deal, it seems like, for the organization. They seem to be dipping their toe a little bit more. And that is something that we just kind of say, oh, I don't even know what does that even mean? Because the Phillies have been so irrelevant in that area.
Right. And for those who might not be fully in tune with some of this, international pool money is how a lot of these teams have gotten some of the big names that you look around, like you always look around, like, how did the Braves get a guy like Acuna, right? Or how did a team like the Blue Jays get a Vlad Guerrero Jr. or, whoever it might be? It's because those teams spent big international money to get them at a young age in their systems.
Yep. You go out, get them when they're like 16, 17 years old. And then, you like the Brewers are paying all these guys before they make it to the majors, because that's their only way they can compete. They know they can't sign these big free agents, so they take their top level international prospects and then they throw a boatload of money at them at way under market value while they're 17 or 18, 19 years old.
And that's how the Phillies, for example, got Renneria. For those who don't know, he is the son of Edgar Renneria.
Yeah. Well, you heard what Jeff said. He wouldn't trade Renneria for Ohtani.
I don't blame him.
Wow. You tell me right now if the Dodgers right now, today, say, we'll give you Ohtani, you got to give us Renneria.
It's hard to give up on a guy with you paid that much international money to.
For Shohei Ohtani?
Even for Shohei Ohtani. You got to pause.
You guys are out of your mind. That trade's done tomorrow. Oscar loves him too. I know that. He has said he will win a home run derby. He believes he is just a guy with unlimited power. We'll talk to Oscar about it. We'll talk to Jeff about it. Phillies Fastball is on the way. Hey, let me tell you, I got a bunch happening right now, including we got Boxing Insider Promotion tickets. Tell everybody, Josh, about the big event this weekend, this hour of the show brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions.
Yeah, there's going to be history made this Saturday night. Two South Jersey undefeated heavyweight boxers are going to go head-to-head. Bruce Selden Jr. of Absegami taking on Holy Spirit High School graduate Josh Popper. Two up-and-coming heavyweight prospects going head-to-head. We had Larry Goldberg on the show earlier. This never happens. You can see it this Saturday. They are going to throw hands, Mike. I interviewed both of them on Hanging with Hennick here on 97.3, and both of them think that they are going to knock out the other guy. So, hands will be thrown, and it's always an action-packed fight card with Boxing Insider Promotions. This Saturday, Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. It's also got some more local flavor on it as well. Pleasantville's Julio Sanchez III, as well as active duty Air Force member Damian Tettarella. He currently lives in Berlin, New Jersey. These are some of the great fighters who are on the fight card this Saturday night. If you don't win tickets today at the Sports Bash, you can get them at Ticketmaster.com.
All right, right now, first 5 people that text the word boxing, your name, and where you're from. First 5 text messages. Text the word boxing, your name, and where you're from. First 5 people to do it, 609-403-1414. 0973. You five will win a pair of tickets to the fights this Saturday night at Tropicana in Atlantic City to watch the big fight between Popper and Sheldon Jr. 609-403-0973. First 5 people text the word boxing, your name, and where you're from. Do it now. First 5 in, you'll win a pair. Good luck. At 5:32, it's time for today's edition of the Phillies Fastball. Oscar Budajin and Jeff Kerr are set to join me. Phillies did make a trade earlier today. We'll tell you what it means and what's next for the Phils. Phillies Fastball is brought to you by Ventnor Social. It's the place to go to catch every Phillies game, including tomorrow and all weekend long. Good one tomorrow. Jacob Mizorowski against Andrew Painter. Let's talk to the boys about the big trade. I say big trade. What is the trade? What does it mean? We were going to talk a lot about the options in right field. Let's start with you, Jeff Kerr, because I saw you tweeting out about a couple options there earlier. They did bring in Hill, a right-handed bat who has played all three outfield positions. I guess first let's start with Garcia. Probably indicates that he's going to miss some time.
Yeah, that was the indicator I received. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out, but this isn't, Derek Hill could play center field. He's platoon with Justin Crawford. That is not the case. This guy is going to be playing right field. He's going to be in platoon. Gabriel Rincones wasn't in the lineup tonight. I heard he might get the call up, so you kind of can connect the dots there. And it looks like Adolis Garcia will be going to the IL. How long he'll be out, I don't know. That injury looked really bad last night, Oscar.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't like the injury one bit. It is a scary injury. It is an arm injury. We've seen this type of things before. I mean, he was throwing over the shoulder. Scary. This is not a 1 week, 2 week injury based on what we saw on TV. I mean,
so let's talk about, because I think everybody listening would say, "Who cares? It's Adolis Garcia. He's not giving you anything." But what are they losing here?
I care.
What are they, Oscar? What are they losing with Adolis Garcia?
Look, you're losing a guy that is a tremendous right fielder, an elite right fielder that prevents you a significant amount of runs per game. One of the elite arms. He has some pop. I mean, we've seen it over the last couple of weeks. I mean, he has 3-4 home runs. And look, I do believe that we miss a lot. We're going to miss this guy. And there's nobody that you can easily do to replace him. If you want to use a 40-man roster spot, Carlson or Brian De La Cruz could come up. They have Major League Baseball experience more than Rincones. I mean, do you want to try Rincones? If you ask me, I would bring Felix Reyes and play him in right field every single day and just run with it.
I was in that camp too, Oscar. I was exactly in that camp as you were. I'm like, look, this is his chance. Why not give him one? Now, I know it seems
he is.
I know he's been slumping for like the last week or so, but yeah, you're right. Like, this would be the opportunity, but it looked like they were interested in Derek Hill before this happened, and this kind of maybe accelerated it. And look, I feel bad for Dylan Campbell. Like, I saw him last night. You know, not like he was going to make this team or anything like that, or it was in their long-term plans, but because there's so many outfielders, it just seemed like there wasn't a future for him here. Give him an opportunity to go play somewhere else. But Dylan Campbell really helped that Reading offense. In the outfield, he played a little bit of left field, played a little bit of center, played a little bit of right, but it is what it is. You really didn't give up much, and I guess you could say you really didn't get much.
I mean, who is Derek Hill, guys? I mean, 7 years in Major League Baseball, 268 games.
He improves the bench.
Hitter.
That's what I thought.
I mean,
what he initially was going to be for.
He's a body. I mean, he's a body that you could potentially put there. I mean, he has some experience. I mean, this year
he hits
hitting
240 against lefties. I mean, 240 against lefties. So I guess he's a platoon. Look, if they would have traded for him and he helps out the bench, I would have been all for it. Obviously, desperate times call for desperate measures. I don't think they're done, but I feel like these are going to be the type of moves they're going to be making.
Well, I'll tell you who Derek Hill is. One part of this is he's a first-round pick made by
Dave Dombrowski.
So he's a guy that he knew him. But you mentioned, Oscar, the loss of Garcia. Obviously, in the outfield, one thing that Hill does bring, Jeff, and you kind of hinted at this, is he can play all three outfield positions. So maybe he replaces Stuart Baroja and gives him a little bit more at the plate than Baroja does.
I mean, it's not a solution.
You're stunned silent.
He's not a solution. I mean, we could, cut it any way you want. I mean, an outfield of Crawford, March, and Hill, or whomever is going to replace him.
I'll
take
stunned silence on that one, boys.
I'll take more Carlson. I would take more Carlson or Brian De La Cruz, which are more experienced and better hitters probably than Hill.
Well, I would say, okay, Jeff, you mentioned Gabriel Rincones. Do you put, because I agree with you. At the start of the show before the trade, I said, hey, you call up Felix Reyes and said, listen, you're going to play every day. Yeah. You don't have to worry about it. And we'll give you to the trade deadline and just go play. Don't worry about it. That would be one.
I was so prepared. I was so prepared to say that on this show today. And then this trade happened. And now I don't think Felix Reyes gets called up. Just from the indications I'm getting. And I don't know what that means for his future.
Why are you making this trade? I mean, if not, you wouldn't make this trade.
I think you make this trade because you want to make Gabriel Rincones' life easier and you feel like he's going to be a platoon guy.
That's the question. So you just said it. He's not in the lineup at AAA today. Do they feel like, okay, Hill, you'll be in right field against lefties. Rincones, you will now be the everyday, pretty much right fielder. Or is this more to say, now Hill could also play left field and center field. He plays center field and keeps Marsh out of center field. Maybe that's
I feel like he's an upgraded version of Stuart Baroja, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying is maybe they just said, you can play all three outfield positions. So can Baroja. You both can run. You're both fast. But Hill has showed some pop against lefties. Baroja can't hit lefties, righties, or off a tee.
Yeah. It felt like Baroja was just here until they got somebody. And look, it's funny because Dave Dombrowski mentioned this to me last week. When I asked him about Felix Reyes, would he get another opportunity because he's hitting? And he said, look, there's just not a spot for him. That's pretty much it. He was
213, 284 on base percentage for Hill. I mean, I know he has 4 home runs in 90 at-bats, but in 50 games. I mean,
I have a question. And look, I'm with you, Oscar. Adolis Garcia is a huge loss, and he was finally starting to hit. Who has a higher OPS right now? Is it Derek Hill or Adolis Garcia? I think it's Garcia.
I don't know. I'll check in a minute. I mean,
but if that's how we're going to judge this thing, I think Adolis Garcia is a better player. But 270 versus 280. I mean, it's like. So you're really rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, but if they brought Hill here to be, a 4th, 5th outfielder, I'm all for it. But
I agree the Baroja part. I agree the Baroja part. Maybe he replaces Baroja, give him more experience.
That's what I think it is.
And then you have Rincones potentially being the right fielder. I like the idea of Felix Reyes in left field and just run with it. The kid is a hitter, man. The kid. With time, that kid is going to hit, no doubt.
I think this goes against their philosophy, though, because I agree with you, Oscar. Felix Reyes can hit, but they want defense, and they value defense with that pitching. And one of the reasons their starting pitching did struggle in April, we saw the FIP with Jesus Luzardo. Those are the games the defense was really bad. So if they can minimize that, and that's what Derek Hill can do, that's what Stuart Baroja could do. Justin Crawford's getting better at it. We know how good Brandon Marsh is in left field. That's what they're trying to do, in my opinion.
All right, boys, I want to ask about Alec Bohm. My good buddy, UK Phillies, has a fun song. Alec Bohm, Alec Bohm, Alec Bohm. He's starting to hit in March and April. He was terrible. In May and June, serviceable guy. Oscar, can I believe in Alec Bohm?
First 106 at-bats with the whole family dynamics going on with all the Sues and all that. 218, 208, and an OPS of 426 over the last 129 at-bats, 7 home runs, 21 RBIs, 338, 496 slugging, and 834 OPS. I'll take that any day of the week. I think he's turning it around. I do believe this guy is a good hitter. I mean, not a great hitter. He's a good hitter. He lacks the power to be a third baseman, but this guy's a 15 home run hitter. We know he always have made good contact, and he appears to pass. Look in the first 106 at bats, 20 strikeouts and 8 base on balls over the last 129. He has 10 bases on balls and 17 Ks. So he looks like he's back to who Alec Bohm is.
Yeah, and you know what, Oscar, it's a shame. Like, we knew what was going on, but you can't just ask the manager or Alec Bohm, hey, is this lawsuit affecting you? Yes, of course it is. Like, you know it is. Like, you could tell he was going through something personally. Now he's a little more loose in the clubhouse. I feel like he's back to kind of being himself. And look, I'm sure so much was going on in his mind. It was so hard to concentrate on your everyday job. And by the way, it's an everyday job that you have to be precise all the time, or else you're going to hit 140 like he was hitting. So I'm glad things have kind of settled. Like, you know, if you, like, I'm not an Instagram sleuth by any means, but if you go on his Instagram, for example, or not his Instagram, his girlfriend's Instagram, you're going to see like he's a lot happier right now. It just feels like it's more of a sense of relief and he can be back to being himself and not worried about being a free agent anymore and all that stuff. It's just play the year out and see what happens.
Let me ask you guys about the bullpen. That's been a topic of conversation as well. We saw last night Duran save the game 3 nights in a row. So people are wondering, are they taxing this bullpen? Jeff Kerr, what do you got?
This is what I say. When you start 9-19, I don't believe in taxing in anything, and you're not out of the woods yet, even though you're 6 over 500. You're climbing your way out of the woods, but look, you're playing to win games. If Johan Duran gives you the opportunity to win games and he wants the ball, how do you say no to him, right? Orion Kirkring's been amazing this year. He's incredible. Like, it seems like when he comes in and when Duran comes in, there's a really good chance this team's going to win this game. Look, Orion he had about, I think it was 120 times, including the up downs last year, he pitched. That doesn't bother him. I don't think it bothers Johan Duran either. So they're used to this. I think they train their bodies for this. These guys weightlift like crazy. I don't think they're worried about that. I'm not worried about that. I mean, look, I agree. I think they got to win by more. I didn't like how Chase Shugart pitched last night, even though he's been very good for them. But do I think they're taxing them? No, I think they're trying to win baseball games.
Duran pitched 70 innings last year. He's at the 22 inning mark with 40% of the season. So he's projecting about the same amount. I'm okay. I do agree. Pitching him 3 days in a row, it should not be the norm. It should not be the norm, because you know what that will lead to. So
and it was the first time he's done it this year.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't do it if they don't have the off day today.
I think it's okay. I think
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
think
way,
he's okay. He's okay for now.
3 days, guys, I don't even think he totaled 30 total pitches. I think he threw 27 pitches over the 3 days.
Yeah, but remember, they warm up. They
get hot.
They get hot. It's like you could throw 10 pitches, but the reality is that you're already through 30 in the bullpen, so it's a total of 40. And I mean, that's where the issue
Oscar knows I'm really close with a lot of the bullpen guys, and I'll ask him, like, you available today? No, I got hot yesterday. Okay.
That is a big deal. People don't see that enough.
Yeah.
When a pitcher
it's not a stat sheet.
It's like an out. It's like going out to pitch. And Kirkering was one of the ones that did that the most last year.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it was like 120 times, I think, total. So basically, he was getting hot every game. That's like they were relying on him, and they rely on him this year. I don't think it's as much, but he's still getting up.
What's up with Gage Wood? He was supposed to throw today. Was there weather or something? What's his?
Well, he's throwing tonight. He's supposed to start tonight. Hasn't rained here yet. So yeah, he's supposed to pitch tonight. Game's supposed to start 7 o'clock. There was a rain delay last night. Braden Tucker, who everybody's been trying to hype up, 26-year-old AA, he pitched really well last night for Reading. I was at the game last night. But yeah, he's got 1.24 ERA. I mean, look, Portland can hit the ball. I'll give you my minor league report from last night. Brian Rincon robbed Franklin Arias of 2 hits last night. Arias, if you follow prospect, you know who he is. First at bat, just rips a line drive between shortstop and third. Rincon just runs backwards in stride, catches the ball, and this is what Arias does. Just tips his cap to him. Like, he thought he had a base hit. He thought he had a base hit. It was at least going towards a double. And then Brian Rincon, the first thing, just ripped one down the line. So, look, we're starting to get to the point where you got to wonder if Brian Rincon's getting called up to Lehigh at some point.
Well, we'll see. This is about the time of the year where they start to make.
This is the time of the year. This is the time of the year all the scouts tend to meet. It's like third week of June between the third week of July, and then you start seeing some moves. So,
well, the draft is coming up here after the College World Series, so new players will be filtered into the system, which means guys got to move up. Guys got to either move up or out of the system. By the way,
you're going to see a lot of scouts in Omaha over the next week or two.
Painter, Mizorowski tomorrow. We will preview the weekend series with the Brewers on tomorrow's edition. Aaron Nola goes on Saturday, and Christopher Sanchez on Sunday. That's Sanchez and Harrison. That's two
That'll be a good
really
one.
good pitchers there as well. Phillies Fastball is back tomorrow with Oscar and Jeff. And, of course, right here on the Sports Bash Live, you can watch it on all our social media platforms. Oscar, Jeff, we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fastball.
Go Phils.
All right, there you go, everybody. The Phillies Fastball here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And we told you the breaking news earlier today. Derek Hill has been acquired by the Phillies for international bonus. But I meant to ask Jeff that about the international bonus money. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's Fastball, why that is significant. We will close out today's show coming up next. All right, get ready to get out of here on this Thursday night. You know, it's funny. I went home last night and I said, oh, my God, I can't believe it's only Thursday. And my girlfriend said, it's actually only Wednesday. Today is Thursday, and I'm out of here. We're back tomorrow for Happy Hour Friday with the NFL Friday 5. More Phillies fastball tomorrow. The Nuggets. Mike McGarry's back tomorrow, and Adam Kaplan's here as well. Hey, let me tell you real quick before we get out of here tonight. I don't want to forget my friends at Clark's Moving and Storage. You know, this is the time of the year where a lot of college kids have come home, or maybe you're moving out of a winter rental. You got to move back off the island, or maybe you're looking to move. I've seen a lot of people posted, hey, I need a place to move to. Clark's Moving and Storage can help you make that move. 609-889-0780. Use Clark's for your next big move. Made my big move a lot easier, and my friends are happy. I didn't say, you want to help me move? Have a great night, everybody.